Let's get started.
Here we go. Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this. Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live, yo.
Let's get down to business.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
For the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
Experience.
You are now listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Chico, Simon, Kumar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Ooh, welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Matt Floyd, joined as always by Kumar.
Welcome to the party.
And Simon.
What is going on?
You know, if he was a real showman, he would have done the other side. It would have, it would have been,
What is going on?
We'll fix that in post.
I'll fix that in post. Yeah. Hard cut.
Not showbiz, baby.
What we do here is very simple. The three of us have listened to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience this week. We are going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernon's. We're then going to talk about each guest, the talking points, give our opinions, this, that, and the next. Come on, new patrons by any chance there?
Hey guys, welcome for tuning in. No new Patreons.
You know what? That was really Canadian. I like that. Welcome for tuning in. Fucking rights, bud.
Thank you to all the Patreons, past and present. Guys, go to the YouTube, like and subscribe, and start making clips.
YouTube is the Canadian YouTube, eh? Just head on over.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Join the Patreon for the post-show, exclusively the show after the show. One longest running Joe Rogan review podcast in the world.
Not even sure that's
He said
true.
one of. No,
Oh,
he said
decent
one
one
of.
of.
Yeah.
Good one.
We're
Allegedly.
covered that. Yeah, nice
Nice
work.
one.
Hey, Kamar.
Kumar, you're leaving him hanging. It's sad. Oh, my Lanta.
That was amazing.
That
We
looked
like, no, dude,
Again,
that was like he was inside me there.
Yes, I think you just cheated. I feel good.
Kumar, like, you know, when you go through, what's that?
Through what? Give me more.
You know,
Come on,
through
boy,
a
what is it?
wall if you're a ghost. You
Join
know?
the Patreon because it's the real show. After
he's like
the show.
transparent.
Thank you for listening.
There's a word, but whatever.
Okay.
We'll put it in post.
Yeah.
Dude, we'll do it live.
It's just Simon being like transparent. Kamar, do you want to go over the guests so we can do what we do when we do on this show here?
Yeah, baby. We start off the week with 2231, Jimmy Corsetti and Dan Richards.
What? Oh, we didn't have any patrons?
Man, you're making this more awkward than it has to be, Simon. It's okay.
Well, I'm not used to it. It's been such a...
Yeah, the drive was going well.
Waterfall
Listen, man, don't forget it's Christmas. People are tight for cash. I totally understand,
listen,
but don't be angry.
I'm not angry. I thought maybe he forgot. It was just double checking.
But, I mean, there's a guy that knows about having everything and losing it all, so he could probably relate to us. But he wasn't until after 2232, Josh Brolin in the house.
I'm pretty sure he had it all and almost lost it all too, didn't he? Then came back.
Real Cinderella story.
I can't wait to talk about Josh with you fellas. And then we finish off the week with, I'd say, the modern day Mozart, 2233, Scott Storch.
Okay.
Recognize.
I give it a 4.
Oh. I want to give it a 4.
I think it could have gotten a
but I
5.
can't.
It could have gotten a 5 had there not been a couple of like glaring issues in each episode. But like, listen, I'm tired of being a curmudgeon.
The content.
For once,
On the
for,
content.
For once, we get the kind of week we want, and we can't just sit here and be like, yeah, I give it a 2.7.
I give it a 4 too.
Thank you, Kumar.
I give it a 3.75.
That's
Is
fair
that good
enough.
enough for you?
Yeah. That's as close to a 4 as you're going to get from Simon. So
there
I
you
might as well hit the agreement button, but I'm not going to. All right, come on, let's fire this bad boy up.
I wouldn't be angry if you did.
2231,
Never know with
Jimmy
you.
Corsetti and Dan Richards.
Dan Richards was the homeless guy, yeah?
Yeah, who spoke maybe 3 times in the whole episode and did nothing but swear like a drunken sailor.
Who
Like, dude,
came first?
I honestly kept expecting him to reach into Joe's ashtray and like be like, "You got a cigarette button there?"
You have a fucking roach, man.
Eddie Taylor-Maids.
I didn't see what he looked like. He was an old...
I'm just joking. He seemed like a very nice dude.
He
Yeah,
was
he
a
just
skinny Simpsons comic book shop guy.
like he had like a gray beard to here, teeth that looked like, you know, like I'm no fluoride for me.
Gotcha.
Feeling like he was in a tie-dye t-shirt. Did he not talk exactly like Randall Carlson?
A little bit, yeah. Randall Carlson has a little more of like a twang
he
to him.
swore all the time, so it was hard to. Randall doesn't swear.
He should have someone look at his style. So the big thing
Thank
back
you,
here is
Kumar.
the reshot structure.
Reshod.
The reshot structure.
Shod.
The big swirl. And
Let him say it like an English person. That's how we do.
It's too big to
too
not
big.
be.
It's got a lot of similarities to what they were saying.
And how big does it make you feel the planet is when there's an area? I don't know if they were just talking about civil unrest, but just habitable to go to and set up to do the type of research you'd have to do. You'd have to set up a base there, basically. Which, I mean, the military could do it if anyone could do it.
Well, anyone could do it. They just don't want us to.
They don't want. Okay, so and that goes.
Would
back.
you agree with that, Simon?
Sorry, with what?
He's not even listening. That's how you know. Just ask him the follow-up, and he's always fucking dead in the tracks.
Tell me, please.
What I'm saying is, would you not agree with Kamar that, or with both of us, that they could easily excavate anything they want? There's just clearly a
Yes.
force in place or a power that is
Something.
like, you're not.
Well, the perfect example of that was them talking about Göbekli Tepe. And I told you guys about this.
Yes, the 150-year hiatus where it's like, wait, we'll let a few generations later, we'll
Yeah.
let them enjoy.
All
we don't
because
know.
it's
We don't
owned
want to
by-
excavate everything.
It makes no sense.
It makes zero sense.
Correct.
We've never done it in history. Like,
And
I can't think of a time.
It's not like the World Economic Forum is hurting for money. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're so proud. We must turn a profit on Göbekli Tepe.
Is
I
there
mean,
a-
listen, there could be, the only argument that I could see is if you were like, I'm 5 to 10 years away from a technology that can more safely excavate the area, wait 10 years. You know what I mean? That I could understand at least.
Yeah,
Again,
that's-
if they had a good backstory, they're not even providing a backstory here other than it's like,
We don't want to do it now.
Yeah.
So we're not.
like, dude, a friend of mine, I was playing Call of Duty. He calls me at 4 a.m. last night. He's like, you want to play some video games? I'm like, I guess, fine. I'm awake. So I jump on. Immediately, I'm like, you're drunk. He goes, I'm not. What? I'm like, dude, you're wasted. I can tell. And he goes, and this is the best. This is how you can tell, like, cops catch drunk people the easiest. I go, you're so wasted. And he goes, oh, no, man. I was setting up my Christmas tree.
It's not hard to tell.
I'm like, dude, it's 4 a.m. Like, what are you fucking talking about?
I was setting up my Christmas tree.
And I'm not kidding you. 10 minutes later, he goes, oh, I can't play, man. I'm fucking wasted. I was like, yeah, I get it. That's like, hey, gotcha.
But he didn't even know you're on him. This is another world.
It's so funny.
Are we being naive with like grave sites and the preserving where dead bodies are and stuff like that?
Are you being naive? Well, I didn't. What
Like
do you
we're
mean?
afraid disturbing a grave site will bring bad karma to us, or like, it's always preserved, right? Oh, this is a sacred place. Is that spirit real? We're avoiding that, or is that cover?
Well, I mean, we know that's not true because of the boneyard guy.
What do you mean?
They're
Well,
hacking
what
that
I'm
place
saying
up
is just
and
like,
no harm is
if we
coming.
really cared about all remains or the potential of like a remain having some breakthrough, like what was the bone they found in that Chinese shop? Remember?
Yeah, the Yeti bone or the
whatever
not-
it was.
It
You know-
wasn't. It was
you know
the,
exactly what I'm talking about, though.
Australopithecus.
Thank you. So my point is like he has all this shit up there where they could come and look at it and they're like, nah, there's nothing up there. And so he just has this fucking water cannon that he's just blasting into the ground with no care about like, I'm just saying, sometimes they care, sometimes they
I
don't.
guess this is the difference between private land and whatever other these
You're
spaces
you're
are.
asking about like curses though, right? Like, are we? I thought that's what
are
you
we
were getting
considering
at.
when preserving stuff in the idea of not.
Well, I think it's just like respect for the dead and your elders
and is
and your family.
is that a naivety of ours? Like, is it holding us back?
Well, it's probably dumb. We should probably just cremate everybody.
It's a meaner way of
and-
saying it.
What's weird is I think it's funny, like up to a point. You know, like if you're talking about excavating Göbekli Tepe and you're like, well, what if there's sacred remains there? Like that's so old to me that like dig that shit up. Let's
Yeah.
figure out some
This is
stuff.
what I'm
like
saying.
if you're like, hey, they want to build a condo where your mom's buried.
That's
That's
a
where I'm like, well,
problem.
wait a minute,
Yeah.
hold on.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? There's levels to like what I think.
Just we don't want to disturb this. Like it doesn't make sense.
Well, like an Indian burial ground.
Yeah.
I get why you don't build on those. It has nothing to do with curses. It has to do with like build your highway somewhere else.
even
you
though
know what I mean?
no, even there.
That's a graveyard. It just doesn't have your fancy tombstones.
I mean,
you
even
know?
then, what I'm saying to you is like I truly believe that like after like 200 years, like let's say a graveyard's full, no more plots.
Yeah.
I think after the last person's buried, you have a 200-year clock, and then at that point, you can bulldoze all that shit. And I mean that firmly for myself as well.
Well,
Because
how long has the graveyard in Beechwood been there?
just hear me out, Simon. Like you said, I think we should all the cremation thing. Think of how much space is wasted on fucking.
And after 2 generations, Matt, like, let's be real, nobody's visiting you.
This is why, dude. This is
You
why
know
it's
what
so.
I'm saying?
This is why I said
Yeah.
200 years. Because
Yeah.
in 200
I
years,
like
there's
it.
no one left. So just bulldoze the fucking thing. Who gives a shit?
I like it.
I'm giving you permission to do it to mine. You can pull this up.
Dig, baby, dig.
Yeah,
it's,
man.
It's so true. You go into a graveyard right now, and I bet you any amount of money, like 50% of them don't have relatives because they're all dead.
And again, that's-
every tombstone.
and-
You know what I'm saying?
That family lineage is gone.
Is gone. There's nobody who's going to be going to visit
there's
the
don't even- hold on.
person
There's
in
don't
the
even
ground.
protest it going away.
Exactly.
It's not
Just
even
knock them all down. Nobody will know.
It's not even that the lineage is gone. It's that the lineage is so far past knowing like that was my great great
This
great
is what
great
I'm
grandfather. Yeah, you know, you're
But
just
you
like
say that, and I have people in my family who have gone back to Ireland to see a place that's still there. That's
yeah, but that's like a weird North
shit
American.
shed.
That's a weird North American thing we do where we're like, oh, I'm Irish.
No,
Yeah, right.
and it means something. Right?
It doesn't mean anything. It's very naive.
I saw-
yes.
It means you can wear one of those "Kiss Me" shirts.
It
on
might have
St.
been in
Paddy's Day.
Nepal. They you actually take your relative and you have to carry them up a hill and throw them sort of in this pen, and vultures come and eat your.
Well, I think they do that in
I want that.
Ireland
That's what you're doing with me.
too,
Because you're
don't
like
they?
this motherfucker that you have
'Cause-
to carry this up.
Didn't you see that episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when Charlie goes because he meets his dad in Ireland, and then his dad dies and they have to carry the body up
That's
the
hilarious.
hill? It's fucking hilarious, man.
And
show's
sidebar, was watching another thing about we've talked
Christopher
about
Walken over here. Sidebar.
president in Salvador who's gone hardcore to clean up the country,
The president in El Salvador who's gone hardcore.
destroyed any gang members' affiliations' graves.
Really?
Like they went in with sledgehammers. So that's sort of like we're really changing. We're unlearning something, you know.
I had a person.
He also, Simon, went and was just like, if you have a gang tattoo, you're locked up for life.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Yeah.
They're all just there in this white room, not saying anything. It's very eerie.
You know how if you're buying like a vintage globe,
Sure.
like imagine yourself buying a vintage globe.
Mary tries to buy them all the fucking time.
It may come from like 1980. It may come from 1960.
yeah, it may have
And
Czechoslovakia on it.
Exactly my point.
USSR.
Basically, if you're looking for vintage globes, you can't be picky about what countries are designated on that map or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I get what you're saying. Like, if you're looking for a decorative vintage globe
I
and
had
you
a-
find the look you're looking for, but you're like, I don't like the USSR.
I had a person not want a globe because Gaza wasn't clearly defined as
my
its
God,
own
that's-
autonomous region. I'm
couldn't
like,
sell 'em a
I don't
Sharpie
think
with
you're
it?
going to find any maps like that. You know what I mean?
It's also such a small area on like, depending on the size of the.
Well, she looked and she was like, well, Israel's there. They're just saying it's all Israel.
I mean, let's
she
be
didn't
real.
like
I got
that.
news for you, lady. I got some terrible news for you, woman.
Anyways, sorry. That
No,
was
that's fine.
just a little aside into my personal life.
I could see people say, again, because we're from here and we've never been in a war, like I could see someone from Croatia like, fuck
Yeah,
this
fuck
globe.
this
You know what I
globe.
mean? Yeah, exactly.
I spit on this globe. Kamar, are you
Have
with
you ever,
us? Oh,
have you,
yeah.
I'm really sorry. Have you ever seen the map of Croatia?
like, have I ever
Country
seen a
within a
map
country
of
sort of thing?
Croatia?
Dude, so when they were dividing up the country, like when it broke into like Bosnia, Herzegovina, Croatia was clearly like Bosnia, you get no beach. Because Bosnia, Croatia, dude, it just wraps around Bosnia, and they've taken all the beach property. It's fucking, I mean, it's genius in a way, depending on which
They
side you're on.
said you had to have a third, but they didn't say what third.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, Kamar, go ahead.
I was just the last example they had of the guy said they could just drill a simple hole, so it's not even disturbing the whole pyramids to find out what's inside this chamber.
Yeah. Oh,
None of this
they're
makes
stalling.
sense. Like we want to preserve it. Just that just doesn't. That's not
Dude, it's hilarious when you look at
acceptable explanation.
when you look. I'm sorry, Kamar, I didn't mean to cut you off. When you look at how when they first excavated like in modern time the pyramids, it was like robbers that went in, right?
Yeah.
They
You mean the English?
Looters.
they literally dynamite. I don't even know. Blew the fucking walls up. Like there was they weren't worried at all about breaking anything. You know what I'm
But
saying?
isn't that
They
part
wanna
of the,
get
that's part of the
shit
problem,
done.
though, is it not?
No. I'm just saying there's already a lot of damage to the
course.
thing. Doing a tiny little hole to put a camera robot down is not going to make an ounce of a difference at this point. It's like at Göbekli Tepe. They're like, we don't want to do any more damage to the place. They fucked that place up so bad. They put roads on top of ruins. They planted trees on top of ruins. Like they're ridiculous.
And it's this sort of idea when you have the government is supposed to do the will of the people.
I wonder what the will of like the Egyptians are. Are they clamoring for them to find out more stuff, or is that us who's clamoring for that in the Western world?
Would Egyptian think you're just a madman and that they are? It's law. The story that they've been told.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, and that's one thing they talk about the many falsehoods in history. It's like people discovering America before Columbus or whatever it is.
Well, Clovis first is a hilarious one because that's
They
here
mentioned
in
that, yes.
America. They dug down. They hit this. We'll just make it up. An arrowhead at 8,000 feet, and they said, "Well, that's it. That's where we come from." They didn't bother to dig any deeper. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Keep digging until you stop finding stuff, dum-dums. Anyways, so they dig deeper, and it ends up that we're not like 5,000 years older, but like 35,000, 45,000. God no, they could keep digging and find that we've been here for hundreds of thousands of years.
But let me ask you a question. They were talking about like the swastika and how he's like, you can find it in every corner of the world. Like if you believed the bearded hippie that like there could have been a civilization, 100,000, 200,000 years ago, whatever, that would have been completely wiped out. And we would have had there would be no remnants of them, whatever, 1,000,000 years ago, who knows? We also know that the continent was one big continent at a certain point, which could explain easily, right? Like let's say 200,000 years, or let's say 1,000,000 years ago,
Yeah.
there was a civilization. They all used the swastika as a symbol of like peace or whatever, and that's why it's found everywhere. Because then the continents shift, they break off. We find them now. That's the only remnants we find. I'm just saying.
I mean, that could be it. Also, they say that nobody was like sailing around the world until
yeah. I mean,
whatever.
listen, we
They
know
could
that-
have been doing that for hundreds of thousands of years, which then makes, look, if you had I think if you had an ancient civilization that was super smart,
Yeah.
and they were going around passing knowledge around to people,
Yeah.
the world is a pretty small place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess.
I just don't think it's that hard to get from Egypt to Mexico. Like if you have competent boats,
I agree.
maybe they even had flying machines. Who knows? They could have had like dirigibles.
Oh, look
You know,
at you.
blimps and
Look
stuff.
at
Look
you.
at the big
Fuck,
brain on
Jesus,
Brad.
Yeah. Oh, Pulp Fiction over here.
Brett. It's Brett. I always thought it was Brad. It sounds better.
I always thought it was really. It's Brett. Check out the big brain.
Check out the big brain on Brett.
You might be right.
Yeah, no, I am, because I sent a really funny meme to a group that nobody laughed at the other day, but it was perfect.
So do we know? They were talking about what Hitler was looking for in all the expeditions and stuff, or is that to look into that and discuss that as racist? That's the angle he was coming from.
I don't think it's racist. I think that's something they were actually doing during a war where their livelihoods were on the line. He was busy sending people to Antarctica. They were searching for the Holy Grail.
And apparently they had a lot of money.
The Nazis? Well, yeah, they stole a lot of Jewish money.
I mean, listen, meth is
Everybody
important in
who
the
ended
story,
up
too.
in the concentration camps, Kamar, all their gold, all their paintings, all their everything went to the Nazis.
I guess they didn't need it.
But you're forgetting too, like
Wah, wah.
you're forgetting too. The meth matters because like he had all these weirdos around him too, right?
Well, mostly, yes.
So you're saying
guys who are really
cares?
into this
It's all
shit.
it's all drug fueled madness. There's no reason to
No,
wonder why
no,
they were looking
the
for
opposite.
The ark.
The
Easily
opposite.
persuaded?
What I'm saying is, yeah, easily persuaded. What I'm saying is, like a guy like Werner von Braun could say, "I think there's a spaceship buried in the Antarctica, and we need to go investigate this." And so, all of a sudden, Hitler methed up is like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
And we can assume that any of the
Pardon
secrets
me?
and stuff that we were wondering about, Werner Braun brought with NASA, the head of the intelligence apparatus of the world as we know it.
you think NASA's the head of the intelligence world
That's
as we
some
know?
people
Well,
say.
that's what, I brought this to the attention of the group a couple of weeks ago that it would be a really good way to get into places they weren't able to get in. Kind of like how the space station is everybody's friendly, even though we're at war. Everybody just respects NASA. You want to do a mission somewhere, NASA's allowed to do it. You need a launch from here, China's all of a sudden on board.
Isn't it interesting that you could be in the middle of a war where it's like both sides have lost 50,000 people, and then like you're saying, it's like, but the Russians have a man stranded on the space station, and the U.S. are doing everything to send up a probe, and it's like, wait a minute, hold up.
It's like if you had a significant other or whatever, you're arguing and you just would not talk about one thing and think that's a reasonable way to behave.
I think that's appropriate, what you said.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a new thing and I like it. Do you think mixed martial arts killed Bruce Lee? Because I remember loving the ninja movie. And there's still John Wick and there's fight movies, but like I think the real fighting of UFC has made the idea of a ninja movie stupid. Too many people are like Joe Rogan to go, well, that's not possible.
I don't think so. I think it's just one of these things that's cyclical, and you'll start seeing ninja movies again because they're fucking
you
cool.
love ninja movies, as a
Dude,
kid?
I used to watch like
God, I disagree with you.
American Ninja.
You hated them from the get-go.
No,
They
I
were
saw that.
so. Did you see American Ninja?
Of course,
amazing.
Yeah. There's nothing cooler than a throwing star when I was fucking 9 years old.
I loved all ninja movies.
I just don't see them coming back.
Yeah, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're so wrong.
And is it because of
Well,
UFC?
hold on. What's a ninja movie? Like, is a Jackie Chan style movie a
He
ninja
also
movie?
ruined it by sort of being
Because-
the Penn and Teller.
No, a ninja movie is like more like
Yeah, I don't think they'll make those anymore. Because like a Jackie Chan,
Jet Li.
Jet Li.
the last of
Who
them.
was the director that did all the Jackie Chan movies? The guy that brought them all those crazy shit over. What the fuck was his name?
I
Doesn't
know
matter.
who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
you know,
but
yeah, that style of film will still be made, but
you know what? They just did Shogun,
okay.
and they could easily do
Maybe you're right. Listen, I'm,
period
Simon,
piece.
I'm not going to
ninja
say it. Yeah,
version of that. That would be fucking awesome.
I'm just talking about. I guess what I'm talking about is that quintessential, like outside of Quentin Tarantino making like a with the sound effects, like the Shaolin.
Yeah,
Kill Bill was a ninja movie.
That's why I brought it up, because
intent.
that's probably the closest thing we could get. Because that one I would agree with you is
But
a
like,
ninja
think
film.
about
No.
how fucking cool Bloodsport was the first time you saw it.
And we're saying that's a ninja movie.
Yeah, but Van Damme was
No,
like,
I mean that's different. I'm just saying that's a karate movie from back in the day,
Karate
and it
movie.
was so fucking cool. That was like the UFC before the UFC.
And so,
I mean, I'm
be it
amazed.
resolved, the UFC killed the ninja movie.
Be it resolved. Come on.
It would be great to see GSP starring in some sort of like.
Well, that's normally the path that, like, a Bautista or The Rock.
What was
that
the
you
one?
would go.
What was the one where Van Damme was in the bayou?
I don't know.
I could see GSP doing like a remake of that.
I saw
Hey, man,
a
there's
whole
an
bunch
alligator
at the
there.
so there was Bloodsport, Cyborg. That was one that was out at that same time.
I remember Cyborg.
Yeah.
Was that a Van Damme movie?
Yeah, Van Damme
Okay.
movie, Cyborg.
Yeah.
And then there was what What was another one that was out at that time? There's one where he
Hard
has
to Kill, was that it? The Van Damme movie?
maybe. There's one where he has a knife in his boot, like he presses the toe and a knife comes out, and then he does a spin kick and cuts the guy's throat. You know,
I'm pretty sure
So
that's the
fucking
I'm
cool.
pretty sure that's the Bayou movie. Hard Target.
Hard Target.
That's the one in the
definitely-
bayou.
But that's not the one with the boot. The boot is
Born on the Bayou.
It might be Cyborg, but I'll tell you.
Go ahead, come on. I'm sorry.
They got into, as you always do when talking about ancient civilizations, global warming and cooling. I really think it's a tell that it went from global warming to climate change. Because everyone was going, well, the winter's even bad, so it's like, well, no, the seasons are more extreme. And that's climate change, not global warming. Because if it was global warming that we're afraid of, I shouldn't have winters anymore, and people should be moving to where it's more.
My problem is Joe actually has a very nuanced, somewhat nuanced, depending on who's in the room, view of it, which is like the temperature does go up and down on Earth, but that doesn't mean we're not doing some sort of damage. It doesn't mean we can't do better. We shouldn't be just throwing all our garbage in the ocean.
Yeah, 100%.
But if you found out, and of course it's a hypothetical, so your answer doesn't matter.
My answer never matters.
10 years from now, every single measure we did
nothing.
didn't lick. Then you say, well, we shouldn't have done it, or it's like, well, we gave it a try. And I guess it depends on how much hardship it is put on people that would be not endured.
Well, I guess my first question to you was like, what have we really done? Like we as a country, other than the tax,
Well,
right?
This is where it comes down to its money. I mean, I took this as an example. COP29 just happened, and they pledged $300 billion a year to fight climate change. What the fuck that means? I have no idea. Where's that money coming from? I have no idea. Who that money is going to? I have no idea. What the people who get that money, how they're going to steal, I have no idea. But this idea that they keep coming up with these numbers, a lot of money, and these targets they don't achieve.
Of course not.
But
By
they're
the way.
rebranding now, right? Remember we talked about this climate change is now pollution.
Yeah.
That's how they're going to get out of this whole
Well,
climate
at
change thing.
COP29 they called it.
But it would be nice, like imagine if they took those dollars that went to this useless climate change stuff and directed it to things like, I don't know, cleaning the ocean.
Well, no, what we should like,
The one thing we all agree on.
if you want to get technical, Canada should, whatever money we throw at climate change initiatives should just be keeping our parks and forests intact and clean, right? Because we have like 40% of the world's forests, and that sucks up how much of the world's CO2.
the money just to preserve. Oh, yes.
No, so my point is like we are stewards of
We're the
40%. We are stewards of 40% of the world's forests that are cleaning our air. I think our part is not taxing every citizen. Our part is just saying we're going to throw more money at ensuring that our parks are clean and kept, and that we keep planting trees when we cut them down. You know what I mean?
You know
no.
what would be Sorry, go ahead.
What it is they're taxing corporations for all the carbon they produce to run their corporation. They have to pay tax on it. And they take some of that money, I don't know where it goes, and give it back to the citizens.
Yeah.
And
That's what they say,
every
yeah.
quarterly thing. And the companies just raise the prices on everything. So
I understand how the market works. Yeah.
exceeds what you get as a rebate. Meanwhile, it doesn't actually do anything. And that's the biggest problem.
You know what?
I agree.
You know what would be interesting if this chain of events, if they outlawed corn syrup, which would be great for everyone in Canada. Okay.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they have all these empty lots
Because they're not growing as much
because they're
corn.
not growing corn, and they start growing hemp. Hemp then becomes the paper, so they can stop cutting down our forests, and you'll be able to have more carbon eating. You know what I'm saying? That's just better all around.
Keep in mind, I'm not saying we have to stop cutting down our forests. That's
Well,
not
we should do that. Well, I
No,
don't
no.
know why we're doing that.
Well, first of all, we build houses with forest. Like it's not like it's like fossil fuel. Like I'm not saying get rid of fossil fuel. Fossil fuel has a place and a
But
use.
do you think right now Canada should be exploiting fossil fuel more than it is?
Of course.
Okay.
We do this whole chopping
on.
down.
Sorry, go ahead. No. Chopping
it's
down,
fine.
I'm listening.
Chopping down wood thing, because it's the way it's always been done, and giant corporations survive on it. It's archaic. It doesn't make any sense in a day and age when we can come up with way better ways of building houses, and like maybe they can build houses out of hemp. Who fucking knows?
I'm sure they can.
All I'm saying is we do it like that, Matt. Like you're saying, well, you can't not cut down the forest because you need it to build houses.
Well, no, what I'm saying
if
though
we
is-
didn't do it, we'd find a better way to build houses.
I mean, you're missing my point. Either way, that's a renewable resource.
I mean, kinda. It takes a long time for forests to grow.
There's a lot of forest.
Yeah, I think, and you're forgetting
mean-
too. You're forgetting too that, like, yeah, it does. What you're saying is true. It does take a long time, but Kamar planted 1 million trees, and now that was 25 years ago, and all those trees are now 25-year-old trees.
I bet
So,
you my
like,
tree's been cut already.
but you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying there's a way where in a country our size, we're not fucking sapped for land or space or trees or.
Do you know where
forest.
South Dundas is? It's like in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
And trees everywhere.
yeah. Listen, our country is rife with trees.
I don't think we should be chopping down the trees.
Fine, go on,
Look
Kumar.
at what happened in the Amazon. They probably said the same thing. Well, we got tons of rainforest, and then next thing
I'm
you
not
know,
go- Simon,
bing,
still
bang,
have tons
boom.
of rainforest,
Okay, you know
pussy.
what? Enough.
A nice little saying I got from this one, which I really like, is you get the most flack when you're over the target. And I was speaking in regards to hit pieces coming out when someone is talking about something and they're probably right.
Can I just jump back to Van Damme for a second?
Sure.
Okay.
Weird.
So Bloodsport, and then the one after that was Kickboxer. That's the one where at
I remember where they dip their hands in the, yeah,
glass
obviously, yeah.
is so good.
When he's kicking the tree, isn't that the one?
He's kicking the tree.
Yeah.
That's right. And then I believe it was Cyborg. Cyborg is the one with the thing in the boot. And then he did Lionheart, which was another one I watched. Just same kind of idea. Double Impact. That's the one where he
I remember
plays
Double Impact, yeah.
himself. Then Hard Target. Then Universal Soldier.
With
Dolph
Lundgren, yeah.
And then he just does a bunch of fucking. Then that's a kind of.
No, JCVD was decent.
Oh, and Street Fighter. He's what's
Guile.
his name?
Guile.
No Retreat, No Surrender. That looks.
Go ahead,
good.
Kamar. Don't let this guy fucking derail your shit.
Time Cop.
You brought that back to Van Damme just so you could read out 7 more Van Damme films?
Well, we have to respect the masters, man.
Go ahead, Kamar.
How do you guys feel when they play the clip of Trump being right about the death rate and all the news being wrong and just the smugness? And how do you feel when you hear that?
Didn't this guy 10 minutes ago? It was literally like, I actually have a timer. Sorry. It was 27 minutes ago. This asshole said, what do you think? I come in here to gloat? Do you think I come in here? Look at, he can't even hold back.
You told me to carry on.
Do you think it's ever going to come out that it was just like a giant scam by the vaccine manufacturers, and then because it was going on, the hospitals just started taking advantage?
I hope not, because I don't think I have any way to sue or anyone. So
Here's what I've realized. I didn't find out what I thought I would about 9/11. I've never found out the truth about, like, JFK was 60, 70 years ago. We still don't know what happened there. Why I would think we're ever going to find out the truth about COVID is beyond me. We're never going to know about Epstein.
no, I think
The fact that we know about Diddy is crazy to me. By the way, dude, like, I know that you know about, like, the lube, or like you might read a third of the cases against him right now. This dude was on the level of Epstein.
apparently he's running things in prison. So
Joe failed to ask Scott Storch whether he knew Diddy.
let's. Oh yes, that's a.
Yeah,
we'll save that for that.
Yeah, put a pin in that.
So yeah, how do
Pepe Sylvia that.
when I'm asking you how you feel, I'm not trying to gloat, but I'm like, are you listening to that going, well, the news was wrong and Trump was right. A dog, even an ugly dog is whatever the saying goes. A broken clock is right twice a day.
That's how the saying goes.
Does it not sound insidious?
I think it probably was insidious.
But you do this weird thing where you come in every week as if we are still defending mainstream media.
I just, what do you go through when you see that?
Oh, like, we're so different from him.
You are. We
Yeah,
are.
I think that's
he
what
does.
I'm-
That's
I
what
think-
he's
You know
getting
what?
at.
Yeah,
It's us
move
and
on.
them.
Move on. Our guy won. Everything's good.
Okay.
The world's getting
How the
better.
internet, Bill Gates said, take this vaccine.
Yeah.
And Bill Gates said, yeah, It didn't do anything.
His guy.
And people
Go fuck yourself. What a piece
we
of
as
shit.
Canadians, like, you do that one time and we're done. I'm done. I'm done with this game. But Americans just love the comeback story, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I want to know? I'd like to know the amount of Canadians that got 1 or 2, and then we're out.
Well, you had to get to.
No, I know, but I know a lot of people that got 1, and then
Did
we're like,
you have
fuck
to get
this.
2? I don't think
yeah,
you
if
had
you wanted
to
to
get
get the
two.
Or to be official.
if you wanted to get the passport and the whole shit,
Oh,
you
you
had
see,
to get
I never
2.
had the passport.
There was no actual passport. They didn't give
You
you a
just did it.
booklet.
You just did it for the good of the people.
My point is this,
Yeah,
Kamar.
that's right.
I'd like to know those numbers. Like, what are the numbers of people that kept? Because, like, I know some people that are like, yeah, I got like 7 boosters.
I
I'm like,
saw people in the pharmacy still getting them today.
Yeah.
Old people.
Well-
just sticking themselves with turbo cancer.
Like I've said, the number that upsets me the most is all the ones they've thrown out.
Oh yeah, that's ridiculous. And think about how sacred lamb they were for a second. People were like, "Do you know a doctor in your family? Because he can like get you special vaccines."
do you want the AstraZeneca? We can hook you up with the AstraZeneca.
There was a,
Meanwhile, AstraZeneca, they give it to all of us, and then 3 weeks later, they're like, "Oh,
Oh, we recalled that. There's
that
a lot
wasn't
of heart
great.
attacks.
That wasn't great."
yeah. So does it make you angry? or
Yes,
just-
it makes me super angry.
Kamar.
I'm super angry, Kamar. I feel duped. I feel like they asked us to do the right thing, knowing the whole time that the right thing was the wrong thing.
Do you think like you won't get me next time? Like, do you feel like you have a guard
Yeah,
up?
they will never get me again because I will never ever do what the government tells me to. If they say up, I say down.
Kamar, my concern is that an actual pandemic might hit,
And then
that they've
nobody-
really fucked
Yeah.
us.
Well, I'd say in that situation we know we're fucked.
Well, no, I think in that
There's
situation,
no wondering. Maybe the right people are in place that will weather this storm.
I was listening to a guy today on a podcast, and he was saying that if COVID had not been talked about at all by the media, if they had just nobody had ever said the word COVID,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have noticed it. It would have been the flu.
I agree,
Psychosomatic.
100%.
So much of it was psychosomatic, but a lot of it was treating people with things like ventilators when they didn't need it because you were just overcompensating. You were giving people medicines they didn't need. And he said that the PCR test, which is actually a really good test to find out something, I can't remember what he said.
like it's an actual
An
test.
actual
before
test
COVID,
that's
yeah.
very competent for what it's supposed to do. But in picking up COVID, it was terrible. So
false negatives, false positives,
all
that shit.
over the place. And then he started talking about like how the hospitals, as soon as people were coming in sick and they were getting these, if you can say it was COVID, you get covered 100% by the insurance companies, or I don't know
Insurance.
how that works in the States. But so it's not like they caused it, but they definitely perpetuated it because it was in their best interest to do so as a corporation, which the hospitals are in the United States. You know what I mean? So that's going on. Like a lot of things were happening at the same time. And then, but yeah, he was saying if it was just left to its own device, you wouldn't have noticed.
Kamar, to answer your question, you act like any one of us has a pot to piss in. Who are you going to go to about your anger?
I'm sorry.
I got it. It's fine. Who are you going to go to about your anger about COVID or the fucking vaccine?
Well, that's what I said. If I had someone I could go to with a lawsuit, I'd care more. But I mean, say wild case scenario, Trump gets inaugurated 2 months, Fauci goes to jail, chain gang, and they find it like it was really much worse.
Interesting. Well, I think Fauci probably is a lot of the things he was doing. I don't know how to speak anymore. A lot of the things he was doing were malicious, obviously, and we know this from his previous practices with things like
ATZ.
is that what it's called?
I don't know. Drugstore cowboy.
The AIDS drug. Like he obviously had a clear tie-in to companies making money.
I think the bottom
Well,
line
'cause
is
he's not
because
out there
anyone
just
can do
trying to
anything
kill
if they
people.
think they're doing the right thing. Then it's
He didn't know. No, come on. He knew. Well, we know he knew about the COVID because they have the fucking tapes of him saying it.
And so that's another part that they were able to, like, we will now waive all these regulations, everything, because that threat is so dangerous. We have to throw these to the side. In this situation, we just got to do it.
Well, here's the problem.
It's like with the COVID payments, where'd that money come from? Or when a government announces, you know what, we're not going to charge you tax for the next 2 months. You can
Where
just do
did that money come from?
What do you mean? Everything's fucking a
COVID
big.
money.
We're
What are you
facing
talking about?
challenges right now.
A Big Mac is 18
I know,
fucking
I'm
dollars.
just-
Where'd
I'm
that
just
money come
joking.
from? Kamar, I think you're forgetting though that like there had never really been something in our lifetime where the government just, at least I don't remember. I mean, there was the thing in the 80s with the OCA, I guess, but I was like a kid. But like, I don't remember in my lifetime where the government just sweepingly was like, oh yeah, those rights that we like promised to insure you, we're just, a couple of them have to go away for a bit. Don't worry. And we all, again, we're like,
the emergency
yeah.
act.
And again, no, the Emergency Act I said was bullshit.
No, but here's the thing.
You have me on tape saying that.
You said it before, Matt. Like, there's going to be a real pandemic one day.
Yep.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
And first of all, nobody's going to believe it. And secondly, nobody's going to take the vaccine because they fucked up so bad this time. And what if it really was a situation where
I mean, first off,
people were going to die on the street like they were saying was happening in China? Like, that would be fucking insanely scary, obviously.
I think we sort of know that's not going to happen anymore.
okay, well, the first
You
time-
think that's impossible? I don't think that's impossible, Kamar. It didn't happen this time, but it doesn't mean it can never happen.
I think it happens, but it doesn't kill the whole planet.
But-
one disease.
Okay, you're talking indefinites, and we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, it's the thing about what we learned. We don't know anything about how these things have to, like, the host has to survive. Like, so it can't be that deadly for it to transmit. And this was all man-made. It's just, I think we learned from this, it's very difficult for some natural-born disease to all of a sudden infect the people, because it didn't happen this time either.
look,
Well,
we knew
we don't
should've-
think this
hold
wasn't
on.
natural. First of all,
We should have known
It
it was.
wasn't natural. It was said to be a natural. The penguin and the...
We should have the pangolin. We should have known right away it wasn't real because they just kept all air flight open. That should have been sign number one to us that, like, well, you guys aren't taking this very seriously. If daily flights to and from China or from wherever the fuck are coming in.
I just think a disease could happen and it could kill a bunch of people, but it just would not wipe out the planet.
I'm kind of with Kamar in that, given where we stand technologically, I think we do stand a good chance of like weathering a global pandemic.
There's they read out the New York Times did that
Yeah, I read the Fruit Loops thing. Yeah.
the Fruit Loops thing, and that is a very common thing now. They're like, it wasn't. The lie is in the details, not in actually the situation, and it's inconsequential to the point. But it's still, you could say, yeah, well, that is not true, or
no, but it sounded to me like they were saying the exact opposite of what they were saying.
whilst trying to discredit RFK.
Anyways,
That's the bottom
listen,
line.
if you want to discredit RFK, just talk about the bear. Like, that's the easiest way to do it.
I mean, listen, if they had been like the only different ingredient is honey and high fructose corn syrup, I think we all would have been like, oh, well, then it really isn't that big a deal, the extra ingredient. But like,
Well, no,
Like
the,
Kamar's
the
saying-
red dye number, whatever. That's
Yeah.
the big one.
I think all three of the long ass chemical names that they mentioned are.
But they'd have a guy on CNN to go, Trump said he was at 7 campaign events. It was actually 6.
But I don't think Fruit Loops in Canada are good for you.
That was
they're
that's
better.
Not,
They're
that's,
for
better.
you.
That's not the point.
But okay.
But in that, they mentioned the sugar industry, which we still don't know who that is, which I think is the greatest trick the devil ever played. Because
I
you
bet
know
if you
that
looked into it, you could find out who the sugar industry is.
I know,
It's probably
but
BlackRock, State Street, all those assholes.
that's interesting.
Rockefellers.
That's interesting. If
100%
it's a
it's them.
conglomerate, I think it's private, and I think it's like 2 families. I think we're not looking it up, so we can just ponder. But I just always love that the sugar cartels fly under the radar, and that's on purpose.
Well,
But I
when
think you're
ha-
forgetting the sugar cartel is out in the open. It's all the purveyors of food. It's Kraft. It's
I think
Why can I only think?
I
of
think
one
the people
major food?
you really need to go after are the corn syrup people, because that's where all the sugar really comes from in the food you eat. You know what I mean? Is all from this high fructose corn syrup, and it's all grown by Bill Gates, who owns all the farmland in America.
Yeah, but that happened way before. This is a bigger than Bill Gates problem.
No, I'm saying right now that's who owns it. Before,
I'm pretty sure if you go back in
like
history,
oil.
I'm pretty sure if you go back in history, they were trying to, like corn was going to go to zero. You know what I mean? Because like
right.
so much of it was grown.
So they were trying to make it valuable or find another use for it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So they came up with this high
Yep,
fructose corn
that's exactly
syrup,
right.
and then all of a sudden it was in everything because it's
Yep.
super fucking addictive because
Yep.
we're just like fucking
Yep.
ratty crack fiends.
100%.
And then so that's why I was saying when you're like, I'm not saying Bill Gates isn't a fucking problem with all the, what I'm saying though is like, it was a before him.
No, I know. The corn lobbyists came to the government and were like, yo, we have all of this corn and nobody to sell it to. And they were like, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. It's kind of like the HPV vaccine. It was made to sell to gay people. The gay people didn't want to buy it. The big pharma came to the government and said, hey, buddies, partners, we have nobody to sell this vaccine to.
give it to school
And they
kids.
were like, yeah, well, we're just going to make it part of the 78 vaccines your children have to take. And all of a sudden, that HPV vaccine that they had nobody to buy is a total moneymaker for them.
Yeah.
Like, it's that transparent.
Yeah.
You don't have to look far to see the total corruptness in the industry. And I'm just saying, sugar, big pharma, anything that has a big in front of it is so ingrained into our everyday. Those companies work hand in hand with the governments. That's how they're allowed to do this bullshit. That's how they're allowed to have red dye 47 in their food. And are they still using like fucking red tinted lead paint down there for the
Probably.
kids' toys? Because they need a shiny coat on Thomas the Tank Engine. Well, he's blue, but on fucking
Like how you're out of
Harold
breath
or
on
whoever.
Thomas the Tank Engine.
Anyway, sorry.
No, I love when you
got
get fired
carried
up.
away.
I love it.
Our friend, I forgot his name, the hippie madman, was just on was emptying up a clip on Joe, and then he brought up Pootie Pie, and it just fell so flat
Yeah.
on his face. I don't know who
I'm
that is.
sorry. Can you do me a favor? Can we talk about ancient civilizations?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Like, we're getting caught up.
I thought
in
you
all
wanted to
the
talk
other
about
bullshit.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I only got like 20 more minutes.
Yeah, I know. So
Well, why don't you just talk about what you want to talk
No,
about?
he obviously has some notes about ancient civilizations.
But the thing was, the problem-
Egyptians started the Atlantis myth.
Yeah, isn't that interesting, eh? That
Well,
the,
I don't know how we know that, but that is interesting, yeah.
well, we know that the person who wrote about Atlantis was pretty much just a storyteller. He wasn't
Socrates or Plato?
whoever it was. Yeah, Plato, whichever, Socrates. I don't know who it was. I think it was Plato. Anyways, like he was a storyteller. He got that information from Pliny the Elder, some other storyteller. Like, it would make sense that they were telling a story to disparage Atlantis because they were like the hoity-toity civilization that was
Pliny
you
the
know,
Elder.
lived across an island or whatever. I don't know.
The Egyptians who are so advanced, they thought they were even more advanced.
Or they needed to have a bad guy. Everybody needs a bad guy. I don't know.
It's just hard to grasp because
Who's the bad guy? Me.
the bad
That's who.
New York City's more impressive. Manhattan Island's more impressive than the pyramids.
Not at all.
In what way?
Well, it's
Like all the buildings
all
and
the
how it
buildings,
runs?
the
I see.
subway,
Okay.
the water lines.
Yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the
Yes,
sidewalks,
yes.
the stairs.
Yes.
The elevators in the buildings.
But there isn't a building in Manhattan that's more impressive than the pyramids.
Well, Manhattan only took 100 years to build, or whatever, 200 years to build. So that's that stuff. Crazy
Well, but
stuff being built.
who knows what Egypt was before now? Like,
okay, it's hard-
Manhattan
it's-
might be gone in 1,000 years.
True, but it's hard to grasp how something is built over 1,000 years, right?
But what if all the Bass Pro Shops are still there?
That's something.
The
Imagine they were just
That's
Bass
the
Pro
only thing
Shops
left is
from
all the
another.
Bass Pro Shop pyramids we've got. That's
That's what the pyramids are. They're just a Bass Pro Shop from
That's
the
what all the
last
hieroglyphs are. Yeah, it's just sales pitches.
13,000
Yeah.
years when we made it this far. Oh, dude, that would be hilarious.
That
That would
is
be
funny,
so
yeah.
funny.
Very. generations of a family or families would be building these pyramids if it took a long time. You're not giving it any time frame, right?
You're just, well, I don't know how long it
Aliens
took to
could have
build.
built it in 1 second.
If they had like some technology we don't know, it might have gone a lot faster than they said it did. We know that how they built Manhattan, there's no secret to it. The only question is how much was already here when they got here. Maybe all the subways had already been built. Maybe you know what, like, we don't know. We don't know what we only know what the history books tell us New York was like in.
So you think when they got here, the subways were already built?
It wouldn't.
That the Native Americans had.
There were major cities we know here of millions and millions of people. It wouldn't surprise me if a prime location along the water like that was used for some sacred stuff or had a city built there, and who knows.
You can't even say it with a straight face.
Well, no, I don't know. I don't know. That's not, I don't know if that's so crazy. We know they build sacred spots on other sacred spots.
Sacred subway.
So if they
the sacred subway.
Well, what if it wasn't for subway? Maybe it was for like, maybe they had been mining for diamonds. Who fucking knows, Matt? And then they use the existing mines to make the subways.
Well, that's what this fellow was suggesting, right?
Like if I'm sorry, just 1 second, Kamar. Like we know that's kind of what happened in Paris with the catacombs. Those weren't there originally. They made the catacombs because there were already these things dug.
Yeah, so stop doing subways though, because there's nothing fucking. You use the worst example.
Well, subway is a tunnel. What do you think a catacomb is? Tunnels.
Fine.
It's the same thing. Sorry, I'm so sorry, Kamar. Go ahead.
What was I talking about?
I have no idea.
You want him to talk ancient civilizations, and then you get fucking bunged up on stupid
No.
shit.
I got it. So potentially, civilizations may have started out of caves. A particular cave here, a particular cave there, and it's this sentimentality that we're talking about with graveyards, and you just keep building something to remember where, for all you know, you came from. This cave, and then you build a structure on top of it. Generations come, and then and then you have pyramids.
And then you
1,000
have
years
Bass
later.
Pro Shops.
And then you have
Next
Bass
thing you
Pro
know, you have
Shops
Bass Pro Shop
and the
pyramids.
Lexer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The
He
Luxor.
suggested they were saying this is just a volcano tube or a cave. Significance to it that people build stuff around it.
That is such a good name for a band, Volcano Tube.
Yeah, that's great.
Isn't that?
Yeah. They said a good one on Rogan, actually.
St. Louis, thank you. We are Volcano Tube.
I think it was the band and the Josh Brolin, but we'll get to that. Of course, news being directed by advertising, I think, is pretty fascist.
It's Kamar's. He just loves fascism.
I
lately.
think it's pretty amazing when you look back and you're like, it's always been like that. They've been doing this since media has been around.
I can agree with that.
Well, we're not good.
They've always been
Canadian
selling
news
you
is not
stuff.
as good at it as Americans.
I think what Simon says, what
try,
Simon's
yeah.
trying to say is it feels a lot like since like news was created by rich people to sell you stuff or to sell you a narrative.
Correct.
Like both ways work.
Well,
To make
remember-
sure that their companies don't get bad stories written about them
We
because that's
control
bad
the narrative.
for business.
And
It's-
while we control the narrative, we sell
right.
ad space for the companies that we own.
And then they find out, oh shit, we can use this to, hurt other businesses. Like it becomes a very useful tool of the controlling sector.
and concerning when it starts to.
And the government, Kamar, you'll like this, has been doing that forever, right? Like they work hand in hand with the media to.
So, Kamar, does it not concern you then when someone like as rich as Elon Musk buys a social media company
Thank
just out
you.
of curiosity?
Thank
No.
you. Oh, jeez, dude.
it's a story
no.
all the time. He's another Hearst.
No. That's fine. Okay. What I'm saying though is I have a problem with all of them. Like I don't like Jeff Bezos buying the Washington Post. I don't.
I want to ask you a question, okay? A serious question. I want you to think back in history because I can't think of one, but maybe I'm wrong, where a good guy
Yeah.
has
Bought the
taken a
news.
media station and done something good with it.
Elon.
Tell me one
Twitter, X.
in all of
Well, hold on.
history and why he would be any different.
Wait, Kamar, that remains to be seen. I think it's too early
It's
for.
way too early.
But I'll also give you this. I think it's too early for me to
I
say.
got a hunch.
Hold on. I said it's also too early for me to say he hasn't. I just think it's too early in the game. You can't, like, even for Joe, you can't say, oh, this guy bought it a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. He saved all of social media. Like, oh, okay.
Elon Musk is showing up to all of Donald Trump's meetings, and you can just see Donald like how the hell do I get rid of this guy now? You know?
I think they're talking about it though. That's
It's a side piece.
What if Elon buys MSNBC?
Well, again, he's just buying up all of the media. This is what we don't want to happen. Anybody to become a monopoly in anything. Good guys, bad guys, we don't want monopolies. That's when you lose the truth.
That's all we have.
No, we don't have that anymore.
The whole world is monopolies. I agree. But I'm saying that's why we can't get a straight answer out of anybody, because it's one or two people who control all of the information. And the last thing we want is another whoever to be buying up, even if it's under the guise of I'm trying to do the right thing, because what happens when he has all the power? Is he really going to do the right thing then? Or is he going to do the thing that's best for his businesses? Like, that's what everybody keeps forgetting. Like, Elon has all these businesses.
Yeah.
He has to do what's right for those businesses. And sometimes that might not line up with what's right for all of us.
I think in my heart of hearts, he thinks what's right for all of us is a platform where speech is free.
Okay, I'm not talking about Twitter right now.
And the consequences or whatever don't even matter.
Yeah, but can that not be a cover for what he really wants?
Of course. Of course.
Perfect.
Like, you know what? You're not allowed to talk shit about Tesla on Twitter.
Are you not?
No, that would be the type of thing that would happen.
That
And nobody
would be
would
the pot
notice
calling
it
the kettle
happened.
black.
You know what I'm saying? It would just be all of a sudden, hey, how come you never hear anything bad about Twitter or about Tesla anymore? There's never any crashes anymore.
That would track. That would make sense. But I don't think that's true.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens.
Kamar, I hope that you're right. I say this all the time. I hope that Elon is just doing this with pure altruism in his heart. I hope that's
if
it.
you're not right, we're all fucked.
I think
just another
back to
billionaire
when
trying
we
to fuck
used
us.
to
Who
have the
cares?
discussion, and it was Twitter was Jack Dorsey, and it was their private company that can do whatever they want to do.
I agree with that now.
And I think Elon can do whatever he wants to
But
do.
you are just skeptical of this just being for the good of everyone.
I am skeptical of Elon, yes.
Like, let me ask you a question.
Should be.
When Jack Dorsey owned it, you were like, there's someone trying to push some narrative here. And now that Elon owns it, you're like, well, it's totally free, but you don't think Elon might be trying to push.
No, I think my point was that as long as they get the protection of the government, you know, that thing that you're not responsible for what someone posts on, then they can't censor it.
Does Elon have that?
Protection?
Yeah.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah. And you know what? Jack Dorsey might have been working with the government on his Twitter thing. Elon is working with the government on, I can't tell you how many different projects. Like,
Did you hear
He is
see
not
the
the-
clip of Vivek saying how they're going to fire people in the
no,
government?
I saw it. Yeah.
Can I ask you-
that makes sense though, right?
Can I ask you a question too? Like, is it, what do you do? Like, if you own Twitter, or let's say you don't own it, you're the CEO of Twitter, and the FBI comes to you, what do?
You say no?
Okay.
Anyways, I mean, I remember us listening to Andrew Schultz. He says mainstream media's dead, TV's dead, and it's all coming true. Besides sports, which is going to streaming services, I guess that's still TV.
I thought he said Netflix was dead. Wasn't that
That's
his
what he
whole
said,
thing?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, apparently
Netflix is still
getting
rocking.
sued for the Jake Paul fight
Okay.
for people who bought it just for that and that didn't work.
Well, you could still watch it after the fact, so it's kind of a weird flex.
Well, it's a litigious nation below us. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I don't get is you can't look me a straight face and say we need to preserve this. Like that does not make us. I guess they think it makes them better people to have respect for these old things and not disturb them. I argue back.
With LiDAR now, the way to x-ray the ground, we can see everything that's down there. we know if there's something worth digging for. If there's a whole fucking building under there, there might be something important hidden in that building, right? Like, I think that's different than just going and digging up ancient burial sites.
I don't know how we went from Twitter to that, but
I'm saying you're getting a big shovel, and they're like, no, we've got to do this with a small shovel and a duster. I just go in there. It's been there for how long? There's in 1,000 years digging it up is not going to make any difference.
I mean,
we did it with a small shovel and a duster.
I don't think I want to dismantle the pyramids, but I wouldn't be mad at them. I think they could redo them.
I mean,
bigger and better.
I don't really see
why?
the point in dismantling them.
Kamar's like, you know who I bet could do it real good? Elon.
The point of ruins is just to never forget where we came from.
Yeah, and I just don't think you can destroy these mysteries before we get a chance to have some idea of what they are. That
hold on.
seems pretty short-sighted.
Wait.
It happens all the time.
You said ruins. I wouldn't necessarily consider the pyramids ruins.
No, but like Machu Picchu are ruins, and there's no way they should tear those down.
No, but they're also like
I think of
Machu
the
Picchu's
Colosseum.
up in the mountains, and there's no one clamoring to build a fucking.
Yeah, there's nobody clamoring to tear down the pyramids either. Except for Kamar, apparently.
I'm thinking about
This is what we're talking about.
I'm thinking about the Acropolis. I'm thinking about
Yeah, again,
the
I
Colosseum.
totally disagree with you. I mean, that's all I can say.
I mean,
Tearing
you're
down
forgetting.
those things would
You're
be
forgetting
insane.
that those places bring in like millions and millions of tourist dollars every year, so they have an incentive not to tear them down at all.
And you can excavate them without tearing them down. Like you could dig a hole underneath the Acropolis without tearing the Acropolis down. There's probably a door leading underneath it that they just have fucking boarded up.
Was it the Romans that preserved the Acropolis?
Yeah.
Decided
no,
not
from the Greeks. The Romans built, it's either the Parthenon or the Acropolis. I can't remember what.
One of them had to.
One of them built on the
preserve
other.
they did.
They
build on
used
it.
the floor of the Parthenon to build the Acropolis, or they built the floor of the Acropolis to build the Parthenon.
There was a time when people didn't respect older civilizations.
No, they did. They respected it. They wanted to use these giant stones as part of the floor in memoriam to the people who came before them. Not only that, they built their sacred spot on the exact same spot the sacred spot was before. It's all in
Sacred's an
honor.
interesting word to use.
Anyways,
Why?
Well, because it's just like it's magic.
sure, it's magic. There was a magic spot.
When you
I
say,
get what you're saying.
When
Like
you say
could,
sacred,
like,
what does that conjure?
I could go outside and grab my rake and be like, "This is my sacred rake."
It means that they had built a
Superstition.
a church there, or some spiritual place where people went to pray, or something like that.
Could there
That's
have been a
sacred.
situation where there's some sacred site and someone desecrated it, built on it, and bad luck happened to them?
Yeah, and you know what could have happened too, Kamar? There's a building. The guys come in, they win the war, they tear that building down, and they build their building on top of it. Not for any sacred reason, but because they're dicks. And that's what people do when they conquer space. So I think both things can be true.
Until we get worldwide peace and we really can brainstorm with China.
Well, yeah, if we had worldwide peace and everything was just cool, everybody could focus their money and efforts to
I don't think we've
archaeology.
ever heard of
think
any
it's a waste of money.
ancient civilization in Russia.
There's so many.
Oh no, I'm sure there's
Yeah.
pick a
Yeah.
place on the planet, but because of our
Well, China.
world policy differences, China, Japan. Well, Japan, I guess we have more of an open
China,
door with
we
them.
just know nothing.
Nothing,
And
yeah.
they've been like purposely hiding it from the rest of the world too. But, they buried their pyramids. They made them look like
and they were in
mountains.
ruins 75 years ago.
Amazing.
Yeah, they might have all the answers.
All of them. And they won't share.
We have the final piece of the puzzle.
What about
Dr.
let's
Jones.
say the Burj Khalifa? Is that one of those crazy Dubai? Because I'm thinking those are the new pyramids, right? In the Middle East, in Qatar, and United Arab Emirates.
Well, I mean, we know
Those
how
structures.
they built them. They're amazing, but
So
we
that's
know
different.
how
Do
they
you not know how
built
they
them.
built that pyramid.
You know what the only problem is? As amazing as they are, you know about the poop trucks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like with the Burj Khalifa, when they were building it, they were off by like
Yeah, I know. And at the top, it was
a millimeter of an inch. And by the time they got to the 40th floor, I don't know
it's
how
like
many
2 feet off,
floors.
yeah.
It's like the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Just how they said the pyramids had to be exact.
Yeah.
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 That's great. I love
about that.
I love that 5,000 years from now, there's going to be a Randall Carlson like, how did they build the Burj Khalifa? What was it there for? Was it some sort of sacred ruin?
It won't last that long, but
Was it a giant sundial?
why does it have no toilet system?
Don't you think? Well, they got into it, but it got confusing. Where the Library of Alexandria is 1,000 years before the pyramids, or vice versa. But my point being is, don't you think that knowledge is way more preserved now? There'd be a lot less questioning.
I like the thought of the guy the day after the burning of the Alexandria, just with a blank sheet of paper, like, okay, Tuesday,
Not
Kamar, what
Tuesday,
if
the library burnt down.
what if the next
the start of the new records, right? First century.
what if 3 or 4 generations from now we lose all the internet?
Electricity.
Then there's no record of anything we've done in all this time. Nobody's
That's not true.
writing
There's
shit
still
down.
people doing.
No, I'm saying for the most part, though,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
it's all being kept on the cloud. The cloud could go away. It could become a sunny day and the clouds could
What
part,
are
you know?
our most preserved, like the archives, I guess?
Well,
That seed bank in
yeah,
Switzerland
that's
or wherever
that's
is
a
in
good one.
Switzerland.
Yeah, that's for the apocalypse.
That's probably our best.
Libraries?
I'm sure we have DNA banks places that have like physical slides with. The
Oh yeah, the
DNA
Davos
on
group
them.
has their like we've got 90% right now.
They're getting ready to build an army.
Yeah,
They just need the Ubermensch blood, and then
isn't that
they
the
can build
worst?
their super soldiers.
Isn't that the worst? There's like an army marching down your street, and you pull out a sniper ready to defend your castle, and you look down the street, and it's 15 U's, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm not even worried. These guys are pussies.
These guys stink.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what's a crazy movie is the one where the Russians invade and the kids.
Red Dawn?
Red Dawn, yeah. They remade it with China. It was stupid.
You know who was in Red Dawn?
I do.
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin is coming up next. So yeah, I mean, you'd been in a desert of content with Joe Rogan, and this must have been a nice oasis that came along.
This
Simon.
was really nice. I was so happy. I don't listen to Jimmy
I feel
Corsetti
like
because I
Corsetti's the
find him
wrong guy.
annoying.
Yeah,
but
annoying as fuck.
I
No
love,
disrespect
I
to
love
him.
when we
Seems
can
like a
talk
nice
about.
guy.
Well, look, you know when you have ancient civilizations guys on and they insist, like Corsetti was bringing up the fucking vaccines. The guy's super annoying, you know.
Yeah.
And this guy was brought on because he was the debunker to. He has a site called Dedunking.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought this was like his Uber driver, and they really hit it off. Like he's like, this guy's on to something.
He debunked Clint Glibble or whatever his name was.
Clint Dibble.
Flint Dibble
Flint
is
Dibble, that's
getting destroyed in the.
Sorry, he'll be a woman 2 years from
Did we
now. It won't even
decide?
matter.
Did we decide that he had Benjamin Button syndrome, or was it sort of?
He'll
He
be a
became-
baby
He's
by
an
next
8-year-old.
year.
He's an 8-year-old lady next year.
I don't think they brought Anthony to the table. I give it a 3.5.
I'll match your 3.5, sure.
I'll give it a 3.75.
All right, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna pay a bill, and we will be right back.
We are back, folks. We are back and better than ever. Thank you very much to all the patrons.
Past,
Patreons
present,
or patrons?
patrons,
You
past,
are
present, and
so
future.
important to us. You have no idea. Thank you to BetterHelp. You are so important to the world.
I can only
Yeah,
assume
we're
that the
assuming.
BetterHelp rug is getting pulled once the new year starts.
Are you kidding? Listen to the nice things we say about them on a constant basis.
Yeah, it's a numbers game with them. Our numbers aren't.
Join the Patreon, the only way to support the podcast.
That's true. You want this thing to keep going.
That's true. You want this thing to keep going. The Patreon's the only ship left in town. Come on, name and a number.
2232.
And the name?
Josh Brolin.
Josh
And
Brolin.
his name is John Cena.
My wife said, "Why is Josh Brolin on
Who cares?
Joe Rogan?" And I said, "Oh, sweetie, this is part of the victory tour."
Yeah. Simon, you and I went and saw, was it Thrashin' or Rad? Didn't we go see it at the
that's right.
theater?
Why was that Josh Brolin?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, we did for Jera's birthday.
It was Rad, right?
One of them, the dirt bike. Was it a dirt bike?
It's a
one?
BMX movie. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's Rad.
It
Yeah.
was terrible.
Oh, it's so 80s.
It's so bad. We were so high.
It's funny how many 80s films you can watch now and clearly, like looking back through the right lens, be like, cocaine just fueled so many projects back then. Like
And
Greenlit
music.
Project. Oh my God.
You want to
much.
hear something, a neat little movie tidbit I learned the other day? And we might have even talked about this on the show, actually. Tombstone.
Yeah.
You know the part where he says, "I'm your huckleberry"?
Yeah. That's
So-
not what he says.
Well, he does say that. He says, "I'm your huckleberry."
Some people say I'm your huckleberry.
Hucklebearer, which is a person who took the bodies
what he
away.
says, yeah.
No, he's making light of that because he's such a quirky guy. He's alluding to "I'll be your hucklebearer," but he says, "I'll be your huckleberry."
Is that your whole fun fact? That he actually says what he actually says? what
No,
everyone
just
thought?
what a hucklebearer was, but Kamara already knew. Wasn't that fun a fact? He stole my thunder,
Well, this guy's a trivia expert. You know that.
and I'm sorry about it. So
Good.
let's
Should
just
be.
move on.
You should be.
Okay.
I like Josh Brolin more before this podcast than I did after.
I didn't realize that Josh Brolin is only like 5'5"
Oh, did they take a photo?
together,
Oh, I
and they're the
didn't-
exact same
interesting,
height.
Interesting. Most actors are around that height. What's wrong?
Don't you want your I statement?
My eye statement? What are you talking about?
I said,
I like Josh Brolin more before I heard him on this podcast.
I didn't realize he was so short.
Oh, I liked him in No Country for Old Men. I
There you
don't
go.
know.
No Country for Old Men, great fucking.
And I love how he
Top
said,
five
no
for me.
one, no one,
one
everyone
thought it
was
was-
like, this is
yeah.
going to be horrible.
Dude, it's so amazing that he hated his haircut so much that he wouldn't
love
go
that.
out
Because
to
you
the
hated
bar.
it watching.
I mean, he's a really good-looking dude, though.
so good.
It never even occurred to me that an actor might hate the haircut they had while they were filming a movie. Like that never even crossed my mind.
No, but I think if you're Michael Cera, you're already ugly, so you don't care. But if you're Javier Bardem, you're like slumming it for
No, but everyone's
6 months.
insecure no matter what. I saw a TikTok of him from young to old. You know, and they do that.
Yeah.
Just fucking peace, man.
That movie is so fucking good.
It's so
insane.
fucking good. It's so good. And he was right when he was saying like that coin flip scene, it's either amazing or it's a fucking piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like
You know what's funny is I bet if you read the screenplay, I bet there's so little dialogue.
in the movie.
Yeah. Like if you really think about
Well,
how
because Javier Bardem is
he says very little. Tommy Lee Jones's character is very stoic. Lou Ellen barely says fucking 10 words throughout
you know
the whole
who
movie.
talks a lot, but who's not in it very much is Woody.
Yeah, that's true. But
He's amazing.
Yeah,
I
Woody's great
wish
in it,
his
yeah.
character had had a bigger role. Well, I guess the movie's perfect the way it is, but
do you like the Coen Brothers movies?
The Big Lebowski,
I'm asking how many films
Fargo?
How many films do you think they have?
Where Art Thou Brother? That
like all
one?
those
Oh, brother,
movies.
where art thou?
There's they have a
I'll
bunch
ask you
of
again.
fucking
How many?
bangers.
How many movies? Well, you named 3. So
No, I named 5.
did you? The Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
Love
Oh,
it.
brother, where art thou? And Fargo.
Fargo.
That's 3.
and okay, hold
So
on.
they have 3 films that bang.
Are you pulling up their filmography, Kamar?
Can I ask
Yeah.
you? Can I ask you how many movies do you think they've directed?
I think they've probably directed 30 movies, but most directors have directed a lot of movies, and half of them you haven't heard of.
I mean, Tarantino.
Well, no, Tarantino.
Scorsese.
Okay, those are like yeah. Okay, fair enough. Can you give me some of their other movies because I feel like they have some other bangers.
Barton Fink.
Amazing.
Really, I didn't like Barton Fink. Miller's Crossing. Oh, Arizona. We're raising Arizona. You're going to say that one, yeah?
So good. They didn't do Miller's Crossing and Barton Fink.
I think they did. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Well, those are both good movies.
They did Jesus Rolls,
I don't know that one.
the follow up to the
it's
Big
so
Lebowski.
bad. It's terrible.
They did that one Scruggs, Buster Scruggs, the one on Netflix,
Which was actually not terrible.
I didn't watch it, but what else did they do?
He's a cool character, the Buster Scruggs guy, whoever that actor is.
That one's a weird. I didn't feel like I had to.
You're
know it.
not pulling him up? What is he doing over there?
What else did they do? They did. I said Barton Fink.
I do not know how to use an iPad, man. There it is. Driveway Gods, Fargo, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Hail Caesar, never saw it.
Hail Caesar. Yeah,
Josh Brolin is in it, though.
he is. Yeah.
That's a producer. Another Day, Another
As a
Time.
producer.
So Inside Llewyn Davis,
Oh yeah, Llewyn Davis. Yeah.
True Grit.
Oh, Paris Je t'aime.
True Grit. That was another good movie.
It was okay.
Serious Man, Burn After Reading.
Terrible
like that
movie.
one.
Terrible movie.
Suburbicon. They did that.
Yeah.
No Country for Old Men. I don't know if we mentioned that one yet.
Did you see Suburbicon?
I don't think so, no.
Dark, man. I've never even been drunk.
I really didn't like Burn After Reading. I thought it was weird as fuck. The fuck machine that he builds, I don't know.
They're weirdos. They're cool. Josh said he thinks Sean Penn went to go meet up with El Chapo because the weather was too nice in California. And that's something I always take for granted.
It's not. I think he was joking. No.
Oh, really? You don't think the weather in California is nice all the time? And what's that like?
You're hilarious.
Oh, come on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's almost like he knew that was going to happen.
Of course he knew that was going to happen.
He's like, I know Simon will be a contrarian, and when he does that, I'm going to say this stupid joke. Ta-da!
So he's a rich kid who grew up in Montesino doing lots of drugs.
One basket.
So I think when he was doing Goonies, he might have been shooting cocaine because he referenced that.
Shooting cocaine.
One interesting thing I think he brought up is his friend was Sean Sears, the lead singer of Rich Kids on LSD.
I didn't even know you shot cocaine.
That's why I
That's a
said
thing?
it.
You can shoot cocaine and heroin.
Like together.
That's a speedball.
Speedball.
I mean, I've heard. But his friend,
I mean,
Yeah,
I've heard.
LSD.
his best friend, Sean Sears from the Rich Kids on LSD, in 2006, Sears died in a detoxification clinic in Tijuana, Mexico, a pulmonary
Oh, okay.
thrombosis.
Never mind.
Unrelated to the treatment. According to Mexican authorities, he'd been suffering from some serious skin abscesses and infection. He
Jesus.
was being treated for addiction with ibogaine,
Whoa.
a psychoactive
interesting.
compound with anti-addictive properties that is illegal in the U.S.
Dude, he must have had such crazy fucking
Lesions.
track marks. Like that's what happens. They inject into the same site.
Yeah,
so
remember,
much. Basketball Diaries.
No, I was going to say, what was the other one? Requiem for a Dream. Remember
That's another one, yeah.
They cut his arm off. It smells like
Ooh.
Egypt.
They do it in Requiem for a Basketball
Requiem for a Dream.
Diaries, which is an amazing movie. One of my faves, actually.
Lorraine Bracco.
It
Rest in
is Lorraine,
peace.
the mom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the mom, yeah.
She's dead.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
That's sad.
There was
She wasn't very old. She died of like turbo breast cancer or something.
Cancer Miss Prime? I don't know.
There was a point where I really felt Joe failed as even a conversationalist when Josh went to tell Joe that Nick Nolte saved his life when he was 25.
Yeah.
And Joe goes, he's in Warrior. That's a shitty movie.
He had
and
a-
sorry?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's why Joe isn't very good at this job.
No, but he already told the Nick Nolte. He tried to tell the Nick Nolte story twice.
Go on.
Yeah, I think it's because he didn't get through to the point he wanted to. So he brought it back and was trying to
okay,
tell Joe.
okay.
What was the story?
I don't remember, but that's
What do you
not
love about that
because
story? Josh did that a lot, eh?
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like that.
I like steak.
I don't like
what do
that.
you love about steak?
I don't
What
like
do you
that
about-
at all.
And he used affectation 3 too many times.
Affectation.
And I like Josh Brolin.
You did like Josh Brolin.
I liked him more. Yeah. I do wonder about the experience, which I'll never experience, and I guess you guys never will either, well, unless you're riding bitch, is to be like in 16 motorcycles all together. And it'd be such a feel like a beehive almost.
I'm down. If we get
You can
rich,
imagine,
if we get rich,
but
let's
you know
buy
what I mean?
bikes
A
for
bunch
everyone.
of guys on a
Yeah.
road, or girls
Yeah.
and guys.
No girls, all guys.
But he's like, and that's one of those experiences that you can only experience if you actually do it. You can't pay to do it. I guess.
Open road, brother.
Eagle on a jet.
Do you
stream
want to
was
know
described.
some of his movies?
Josh Brolin?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. I'll tell you. Brothers. Did you watch that? It's a new comedy with the little guy from Game of Thrones.
Peter Dinklage.
They play brothers. He did Outer Range. That was that TV show. Dune Part 1 and 2. Avengers. He plays Thanos. He was in Once Upon a Time. He was in Deadpool 2. He played Cable.
Yeah, I remember.
He was in.
He's a major movie star.
Yeah, he has a lot of.
He's a major movie
He
star.
has a lot of movies, eh?
Well, he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
He's very concerned about doing things for his ego, or anyone doing that for their ego, for that matter. Did not know that Philip Seymour Hoffman was from Rochester. That's got to be their claim to fame, sadly. He died sadly.
I've been to Rochester.
Go on.
It's not a nice place.
No. Did you go to House of Guitars?
No, I went there when I was young, and the only thing I remember about it, one, I bought a purple battle cat there. You know, the Skeletor's battle cat?
Yeah.
So I was super stoked. And they had like these torrential rains, and then we went outside and there were moles everywhere.
Weird.
Moles had washed up from like the sewers.
There's a the rap scene in New York State lives in Rochester.
Because growing up, we got the Rochester feed.
Yeah, WUTV Fox 29.
But
Push, pull, or drag it in. We'll give you at least $5,000. Hi, Ma.
But that was
Lockport's Gambino Ford.
that was like a window into local
different-
America.
yeah.
That's so funny, eh? Because for my whole youth, I just assumed Lockport Gambino's
Was like down the street.
on,
No,
the
you
end
got to
of
go
Bank
over the
Street,
bridge.
you know?
Yeah. Lockport's Gambino Ford. Come on down.
Kamar, Matt's probably too young for this, but do you remember every now and again you'd be watching something and then a river would come on and it would say like waterfront?
Yeah, it would be
WKRP,
like
Watertown.
Watertown,
Watertown,
and
yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and it would show you like the water tower.
The tower,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was the river and
Yeah.
it was a whole thing.
I wonder about the irony when they talked about Ernest Hemingway's first book was lost by his wife. Then his quote is the first draft of anything is shit. So maybe it's for the best. that
And
she
I
lost
think
the
he
book.
murdered his wife. So
Well, she had it coming.
Well, that's because she stole the fucking
I
manuscript.
don't think he did. But he was a drunk.
And
He loved
there's
three-toed cats,
is
five-toed
that,
cats.
is that gone?
Is what gone?
Pterodactyl.
Well, I don't know if you can put them in the same group, but they have a lot. They talked a lot about Hunter S. Thompson, and just that the writer embedding themselves, the drunk.
Well, I think it's.
It's changed.
I mean, first of all, we don't live in a world where being drunk 24/7 is like the norm. You know what I mean? Like Hunter S. Thompson existed in a world where men went to work, fired up a scotch at 10 a.m., had one at lunch, had one at 1.
But and people aren't
Am I
doing that
wrong?
anymore.
Well, he was a little further than that, but I think he lived that life for a long time.
Well, okay,
you
but
know?
that's my point. Is like that doesn't really.
Or
Yeah,
is Andrew Callahan,
yeah. I guess he would. But
Hunter S. Thompson 2.0. And a lot of those vloggers. I mean, without the drugs, some of them, I'm sure, do drink and do drugs. But
there's a difference between writing and interviewing. Like Andrew Callahan's art is in the interview and the edit, whereas Hunter S. Thompson was a writer.
And
he
Hunter
edited
S.
his-
Thompson
he edited
also
what he
went
wrote.
and like lived with the Hells Angels for
They didn't like
how
him.
many years and embedded himself in the gang, and some of them didn't like him.
But I think that's the distinction, or maybe it's been made that the idea is he was running with them. He was just a little
I love that too.
snitch.
No, they agreed to let him be there because he agreed to make them look
And
good.
they beat
in
the shit out of him.
I love the idea too of like who sells the drugs. The Hell's Angels like, I'll just embed myself over there for a year.
Yeah.
It's research.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll have to convince the editor that there's a
Find
good
it. Yeah,
story.
There's got to be a story in here somewhere. He was the guy that stabbed the book at the Rolling Stone concert.
Dude, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is such a hilarious book. It's like up there as one of the best books ever.
Do you think
He was
the
an
movie,
incredible writer.
the movie did it any justice?
I mean, both versions were good. I don't think they did the book justice, but they were both good. Like Where the Buffalo Roam with Bill Murray is a great movie. And I like the one with Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro. Like it's just so fun. They made it a little too weird, like too psychedelic.
Well, I think it was meant to be like a film you did mushrooms and watch. You know what I mean? Like not. It was like a whole experience. What else you got, Kumar? Is that it for Josh?
I got about movies. No, we're going to do a movie game with him.
As your attorney, I highly suggest you tell me where all the drugs
But do you remember a movie that Michael Caine and Steve Allen
Caine.
did?
No.
Steve Allen or Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Dirty Ron
Yeah,
Scoundrels.
that I remember.
good.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
He has the fork with the cork on it because he keeps stabbing himself. And the woman says, why is there a cork on his fork? And then he just starts stabbing himself in the eye.
I watched it the other day, and it is so good. And one of the things you notice is that there's no phones.
Steve Martin was amazing. You can look back at even The Jerk. It's fucking amazing. And that was how long ago?
Kamar, we watched a movie last night that was on Apple TV, and it's like filmed during lockdown.
Yeah, it's
And
so
like they make
annoying,
mention
eh?
of it, and I'm like,
What did
"Ugh,
you watch?
Glass Onion."
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
watched it too.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Terrible.
I hate
Further removed, it's got to be
dude, the
horrible.
whole
But
final.
that's Elon. That's Elon.
The
They're making fun
whole
of Elon.
final season of Shameless is during COVID.
Oh, terrible.
It's so annoying. Like I want to forget that time. I don't want to be remembered.
Yeah, I wish they had just. I wish they had just done like you're acting. Just make the world. It didn't happen in this world.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
film without masks.
Exactly.
Like, just what are we doing
Yeah.
here?
Just pretend it didn't happen.
I wish people knew where the UFC came from when they were talking about Royce
Hoist.
Gracie coming out, and it was like so trashy to watch the UFC.
Yeah, they did in like Alabama because you couldn't get sanctioned anywhere.
A pay-per-view. It felt like it was really wrong to do.
It sounds like big boxing really did their job on that one. They got together with the media and they convinced us
Vilified
that
it.
UFC was a disgusting sport that nobody should watch, and boxing was the true gentleman's fight, you know?
and you get the most flack when you're over the target.
I mean, in a way though, like
Nice, Kamar.
the original UFC, the like you fight 4 times in a night, that's a bit fucked.
No, listen, the whole thing's fun, but it was amazing.
No, but then that goes to Joe Warrior. Yeah, you can fight more times.
yeah,
in a day,
Joe doesn't know what the fuck he's
he
talking
hates
about.
Warrior, eh? And he hates Tom Hardy. I'm sure of it.
And you can't just like diss the fucking Nick Nolte movie when the guy's Nick Nolte saved his life. You know what I mean?
You can do what you want. You're Joe Rogan. You came to this is my man.
I don't like
The
it.
worst movie, but Nick Nolte's best performance. I don't know. Make up your mind.
Nick
guys-
Nolte, one of the most iconic mugshots ever.
Yeah.
You guys both saw Sicario?
Yep.
It's the JRE movie game. The time has come again. For Matt and Simon to rack their brains to guess the budget in the box office. We all know they won't guess the year, and the Patreons are the real winners here at the JRE movie game. Come on, take it away, baby.
It's the movie night.
It's the
It's
movie
the movie
night.
game. When Matt and Simon go head to head to find out what year movie came out, how much it made at the box office.
Looking for
How much it
nub in
costs to
all
make.
the wrong places. Welcome to the movie game.
Directed by Dennis Villeneuve.
Yep.
Canadian.
Starring Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, yours truly, Josh Brolin, John Bernthal, like him, and Daniel Kaluuya.
Excuse me. Josh Brolin's really good in this movie. This
Yeah.
movie's really good. I just hate that they made the second one and tried to recreate the same fucking tense scene.
Cash grab.
Not a cash grab. I just like the beauty of this movie was like, I mean, that scene in particular. You know how like some scenes will just go down in movie history, like that scene where they're crossing the border.
So crazy.
Yeah, it's dude. The tension built
Your
is,
fucking dick is up in your mouth. Your balls are in your throat. It's crazy.
and then so for them to make a sequel and then be like, let's try to make this the exact same scene, it was just kind of
Yeah,
it felt like pandering to me.
shit.
You have a year, Simon?
Yes.
What year do you have?
I said 2010.
Yeah, I said 2015.
Well, they've made 2. They've made them that quickly.
Sicario 2015.
Shut the fuck up. Wow. Feels like you guys
That's
cheated.
10 years. They made them
Yeah.
that quick.
Yeah, I guess.
Is that quick?
Yeah, no, it's not. You're right.
You say it took thousands of years to build the pyramids?
Okay, so I guess I'll go first. I said it cost $85 million to film,
Yeah.
and it grossed $372 million.
I said it cost 42 million and it made 180.
Budget, 30 million.
Whoa, nice, Matt.
I think they did it really quickly. Box office, 85 million. Just overshot it. Just
Nobody
overshot it.
wins.
I'm going to give that to Matt.
No,
No,
you can't
no,
give
you
it to
can't give
Matt.
it to
Nobody
Charitable.
wins.
I didn't win.
Charitable. Did you hear when he was talking about...
And that's the movie game.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
No, not brought to you by Pfizer. Fuck Pfizer.
Well, if
Brought to you
We're
by
a
anyone
Johnson
who'll
and
send us,
Johnson.
if they're paying us.
send us shit.
Yeah, no, fuck Pfizer.
He wondered if Philip Seymour Hoffman was bummed because he was doing the Hunger Games.
What's a Philip Seymour Hoffman movie that you love?
Boogie Nights.
Yep.
Doubt. Owning Mahoney.
Oh, that's so hard to watch.
What's a
Owning
good one to watch,
Mahoney
though?
is like watching
Magnolia.
Leaving Las Vegas. It's just like it's so sad.
tough watch,
Yeah, it's so sad.
Big Lebowski.
Oh, that's right. He plays the gay assistant.
I don't think he was ever like a lead, but he played everything. I just really liked
Dude,
him.
the old man in that is so funny. The real Lebowski.
He was in Twister.
Twister,
Who
yeah.
was?
He was the
Philip
little
Seymour
nerd.
Hoffman.
He was all gung ho.
Mission Impossible 3, The
Oh,
Hunger
the
Games,
talented Mr. Ripley. He was great in that.
A Most Wanted Man. He was in
That's-
Moneyball.
That's a terrific.
That's right. He was incredible in Moneyball. He played the manager.
Capote.
Yeah. That's a terrific movie, The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Red Dragon, Charlie Wilson's War, Almost Famous.
All right. Well,
Oh, I'm never going to say it right. Synodici, New York. Remember that one? No?
nope. Never saw it.
Punch Drunk Love. The Ides of March, Patch Adams.
I totally forgot he was in Moneyball.
I did too. The 25th Hour.
So he died
That's a
like
compliment.
really recently, eh? Because Moneyball was what, like 2012?
Moneyball came out in 2011. Not bad, Simon.
And I think it probably cost around 38 million, and it probably grossed like 292.
I guess you can't say a bad thing about Philip Seymour.
Say that again. You think it what?
38,
Yeah.
292.
No, 50 and 110. What else, Kamar?
There was some situations where Josh Brolin would be like, I sit with these guys, and when they get drunk, they're like, I like you. And then cut off what they say.
Interesting.
Well, no, it's not that interesting. It's typical of what we've been listening to on podcasts for a million years. And even though it's told us to his face, we think we know something where I'll tell you after the show.
Yeah, I don't like that.
No, but it comes in and goes out. It doesn't register that, oh, no, we heard everything and they disclose everything. We know what's going on. But then after the show, like, I have to say this or I have to do that.
That's because the guy was like, I like you. Get him a drink. It was Puff Daddy.
I like you. You want a young girl? I can get you on
Yeah.
a plane to an
I
island.
got an island for that.
He didn't mention if Josh Brolin knew Puff Daddy, and I imagine he could because, well, I guess Josh has been sober long enough. Oh, I can't wait to get to the next one.
Kamar, the Puff Daddy.
Let's just get to it.
Yeah, I like Josh Brolin more before this podcast. He admitted to it as to interviewing Joe,
Yeah.
but it was the way he did it was such a
Grace.
What do you love?
Hollywood-
you say
Hollywood
I
grace.
something. It's why do you do that? Why do you that? But I still give
What
it a
is it
3.5.
about that, Joe?
I love
give
movies.
it. I give it a 3.5.
I'll give it a 3.
All right, moving on. Last one.
What is it?
Scott Storch.
Oh, yeah,
Can I start, Kamar? Oh, say the number first. Sorry.
Threw me right off, man.
I'm so sorry.
I'll pull it together. I'll pull it together because I'm a professional.
As he doesn't pull it together. as he fails to pull it together.
Oh yeah. This must
All right, look, I'll just start. Here's everything wrong with this podcast.
22-33. Scott Storch.
Okay, I'm going to jump. Yeah, I know. I'm going to jump right ahead to the end where Scott Storch says to Joe, oh, shit, it's been like 3 hours. And Joe goes, yeah, something like that. Like,
He did Scott dirty.
well, but it's not that he did him dirty. What I realized happened was this. He got there, and it took them at least a half hour to set up the keyboard and get it all into the monitor and everything. All for Joe to sit down and go, so you've made like hundreds of songs. And Scott goes, thousands, man. I made thousands of songs. And he's like, oh, anything I know? And he goes, I mean, the most popular would probably be Still Dre. And he plays a bit of it, and right away, I'm like, this has potential to be my favorite episode of all time. I'm literally sitting there. I'm half hard about a Joe Rogan episode. It's almost like I forget what this show's about because immediately Joe cuts him off, and that is the end of the keyboard. It does not come into play again. Do we hear it again?
No, but just
No, answer me that. Does he play the keyboard again?
No.
Fucking travesty.
He actually sings with his voice a couple times.
Fucking
the melodies,
a fucking
the keyboards,
dude.
He goes bum 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 bum.
But what I was trying to say is that the one time he did play the keyboard, Joe said, "Play me some of that." And actually, the opposite, I was like, "Oh, here we come. This is going to be Joe play me the Beatles, play me this, or requesting all these songs playing. But I would also was excited, as you thought, every time he mentioned a song,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm literally sitting there thinking, like, you have a musical genius in front of you. And I don't say that lightly. And like he's brought his keyboard intentionally. He set it up. You had Jamie plug the thing in, and now he plays Still Dre, and you're like, yeah, I don't think I know that one. And you just that's
The
it.
song he played was fucking cool. The one he's producing with that girl.
Oh, that was a great song. I added it to my
amazing.
Spotify.
It sounded like the Dre.
But he has the rhythm of our cultured existence. Like, no, but you think of a director
Kamar, I'm pretty sure
who
that
influences you.
I'm pretty sure in the 2000s, I think it was like NERD and Scott Storch had like 90% of the number one hits in the 2000s.
Or it was Max Martin and Dr. Luke on the other side. But I find like those guys are more scientists of pop music. The math of it. This guy is self-taught.
It's nuts.
I say he's a modern day Mozart.
The end of it, he's like, I only want to work with people who are unknown because I want to make them. And in the same breath, he's like, I want to work with Drake.
Well, no, but he said there's people that don't want him to have a hit with X artist because they've been telling that artist, you don't want to work with Scott, he'll ruin you. And they said, well, he's making nice songs. Because the fact that I almost cried. I didn't cry, but Beyonce does thank him on her first solo Grammy. First, Scott Storch.
Amazing.
Well, it's underrated because I mean she's the queen bee, and it's.
I mean, most of these
helps
guys
of his production
behind the scene go pretty underrated. No,
Dude, the White Devil thing was definitely Black Thought. There isn't a doubt in my fucking mind.
he's the guy who works for Jimmy Fallon now.
Well,
they
the
all
whole
had
band, the
roots,
whole
the
band.
whole
Oh yeah,
band
that's
is,
right.
yeah.
No, but he's the drummer.
No, that's Questlove.
Oh, that's Questlove.
Which is what I also hate about the Roots is whenever someone says the Roots,
You think
people go, "Oh, Questlove," and that bothers the shit out of me because Black Thought, White Devil or not, top 5 dead or alive in my humble opinion. Like
was Black Thought with what's his name there?
no, you're thinking of like Talib Kweli and Mos Def.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
Black Star.
Black Star. Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm getting confused.
What was interesting though is Joe did sort of do this more of an interview style. For somewhat, Scott's got a lot of stories.
There was a lot of places Joe could have taken this that he didn't.
Dude, you have a cook in the kitchen and you don't even fire up the stove. Let the man fucking cook. He said, I've done thousands of hits. He gets through one and Joe's like, well, that's good enough for me. He was about to play you so many bangers, Simon. This guy was responsible for so many hits.
And you want to know the most annoying part about it, Matt?
Go
now
on.
that I think about it, I've had to endure so much Susan Santos
Yeah.
on this show
Yeah.
playing instruments,
Yeah.
and this guy can't let us listen to
know, it's
something
unreal.
about Dre
I know.
for 2 seconds.
That's what I wish he had brought up. I got this new artist, Suzanne Santos.
She's an up and
Full
comer.
circle.
I mean, yeah, this was really like, that was the only really disappointing thing is I was just like, I just
Forgot
wanted.
about Dre. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's actually still Dre.
Oh, he didn't do Forgot About Dre?
No, it was still. Well, he might have had something.
I
to do with
really
that too.
like that
I
song.
actually think he's all over 2001.
Yeah.
and I guarantee you that bam, 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 bam. That's probably Scott Storch. Also, fun fact: Jay-Z wrote Dr. Dre's verse on Still Dre.
Jay-Z did.
Yeah, if you look in the liner notes,
Dude.
it says S. Carter. and
Listen, that's a banger fucking part he has in that.
Still Dre's incredible.
Incredible. Thank you. It's incredible.
It's funny too, because like on paper, it should be the most annoying beat of all time. You blung 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 blung.
I don't know. Isn't that the first time we hear Eminem?
No, Eminem's album dropped before that.
Really?
Yeah, Eminem's album dropped in like 96 or 97. I mean, first of all, Eminem.
What album?
Okay, well, Eminem had an album before that. He had an album called Infinite. That
Yeah. Forget that.
You're talking about the album that Dre produced.
Yeah, I thought this was
The
the
Eminem
very
LP?
first. This is how
No.
Eminem even got like
No.
big enough to
Hi,
make an
my
album.
name is-
Yeah, that's after
That's
Still
before
Dre.
Still Dre. You can mark my words on that.
Really?
100%.
Are you sure?
I'll bet you money.
Okay, I'm gonna check right
You
now.
should. You should. 2001 came out in 1999. And I'm pretty sure that Eminem album came out in like, I'm going to just venture 97, maybe 98.
You know the song that he talked about, Just the Two of Us,
Yeah.
with Eminem,
Yeah.
is about disposing his girlfriend's body with
Kim. Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Like it's really interesting that's why he was controversial and stuff, and that's now 20 years ago.
Yeah. What's wrong, Simon?
Nothing. So still Dre is 99.
Yeah. And hi, my name is came
I'm
out when?
looking it up.
Do you think there's something about sex, drugs, and rock and roll?
Yeah.
Like we want our artists to be wild, and in wild they will experience experiences that for a short period make them really creative and produce bangers.
I think the question is this: is if you took like a 30-year-old who has a 9 to 5, and then they out of the blue become like the next, I don't know, Jelly Roll, are they gonna do the sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing? Like if they already have a kid and don't drink a lot and have like an estate, you know what I mean?
Can you?
What I'm asking is like a lot of rock stars get in there in their 20s, and I feel like that's when you're most likely to do that, like spend my money, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, stay up late, fuck everything that moves. Whereas like,
Zach Bryan,
yeah, I guess.
has that got into your
No,
algorithm?
the Brianna chicken fry.
Interesting.
Like Kamara,
Sorry, what song did you want me to check?
My Name Is by Eminem.
2002.
No,
It's not.
no. Look for the album, the Eminem. No, not the Eminem show.
I think the Scott Storch movie is going to be awesome.
I don't think it's ever going to come out.
Great soundtrack.
Simon, there's no way you're this bad at internet that you've been looking for 20 minutes. Like, look, I'm already fucking here.
Okay, so
The Slim Shady LP. It came out in
2001.
no 1999,
So they came out in the same year.
but this came out in February.
Now I have to check when that one came out.
What I like about Scott though is he's like,
Oh no, sorry, 97.
97.
Yeah,
Does he feel so down to earth,
Scott Storch?
Scott Storch?
No, not at all. Are you serious?
there was.
Considering how amazing he is, he seems like just a guy, like one of the boys.
I've heard him in interviews, dude. He said he's like, at my peak, I was easily spending $1 million a month on just like
He was
weed,
living, he was a
coke.
millionaire living like a billionaire.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he's like, "Yeah, coke is crazy, man. I'll get you." He's like, "How long you been for?" 6 months.
Yeah.
After he got up, you know,
Yeah.
the struggles. Like he's
Oh,
so
I thought he
honest,
had been sober for like 12 years by the way
such
he
an
was
artist.
talking.
No, I knew.
but he's realized that you can be a successful homebody. He's amassed enough experience and stuff that you don't have to go out there and chase that stuff.
Well, I
You feel
guess
like-
when you've done all that shit, it's easier to be a homebody.
I wonder if, like Norm Macdonald, he left the studio and was like,
Yeah.
let's get an 8-ball.
Yeah. I feel like some coke.
Just all the talking about it.
Right after has it just in case.
Like, how is Joe at this point not just tried coke once? Like, he's not going to get addicted. You know what I mean? Not after one time.
No, you're forgetting Joe is. He's that type where he'll get like, he'll have like a Coke spoon around his neck and he'll
Could
be like,
happen to the best
he'll
of
go
us.
into his office and he'll have like, that one's Peruvian.
One long
yeah, with
pinky
super long
nail.
nail. Yeah, exactly.
It was interesting though. Scott's done enough cocaine that he realizes what it does is it just makes you go through every emotion in 30 seconds. Like, do you understand
That's
what I mean?
not at all what it did for me.
Isn't that good though?
You just
Because
don't freak out.
you know how they say there's 12 steps to not recovery, but like to
5 steps of grief?
or whatever. Yeah, I feel like you should just do some Coke, get through all 5 of them. Like, yeah, boom.
Two things happened to me on coke.
Go on.
One, it made me uber confident. So right away, no matter what the situation, I was confident in that situation.
Helpful.
And the other was it made me want to do more coke immediately.
Yeah, I think that's
The
built- I think
second
that's a
it's up
built-in
your
mechanism, yeah.
You're already thinking about the next line.
Yeah, that is the beauty of cocaine. Yeah.
But it like there isn't a situation, and it's crazy because I know now after watching people do coke when I'm not on coke,
Yeah.
that you look like a moron, but you think that you're out there like
Yeah,
the
Johnny
best
Cool.
you
think you
can
look like
be.
Don
Yeah.
Draper and
Oh,
your
yeah.
jaws just
This
going
is what I'm-
ham.
But it doesn't matter because that's how you feel, and that's all that matters.
True. But you're
It's
like
a terrible drug, though. Don't nobody should do it.
I've never done it. I imagine it's
I know
awful.
that's weird too.
that I never did.
Yeah,
I have a really addictive
Who do
personality.
you-
I watched a lot of people when I was young do it, and it didn't look fun or chill.
Who do you
or-
think the tech CEO was?
Who do I think the
He says, I know a guy who I forget, what did he say?
He also said, I was with some rich guy, I can't tell you who, and then proceeds to do the Russian accent. Like, okay, well, I guess we're talking
Was he
about
Russian?
Putin.
I think he might have been talking about
No, I'm joking.
ex-CEO of Twitter, but who do I know?
Yak Dorsey?
Everyone wonders who Casey and the Sunshine Band is, because the guy flexed on Scott. It's Harry Wayne Casey.
That's his name? That's a fucking serial killer's name.
Casey is the way you spell Casey. So
Because he
Casey
was
was just
KC and the Sunshine Band. Interesting.
learn something new every day.
Yes, yeah.
But
It's like Huckleberry.
Please Don't Go.
Don't go. Don't go away.
So they
they
do that. That he wrote that song. That's their last hit they wrote in the 80s or whatever. If you go to watch it, they are so high on cocaine.
I believe it.
Back to the point, because they're a fun like funk. That's the way. I like it. And then I guess they have the success to Don't Go, which got picked up again
By PM Dawn.
which is why his garden, he can spend that money on it. Well, no, I think it was even bigger than PM Dawn.
Well, PM Dawn did it too, I think.
I don't think they did.
Okay, maybe.
Isn't
I'm wrong.
that Set Adrift
I
on
actually
Memory
don't
Bliss?
care.
And that's
Well, they did that as well.
Spangadalo Ballet. No, I don't have
Back
that.
Now Ballet.
No, PM Dawn's big hit.
Set Adrift on
was-
Memory
Set adrift
Bliss.
on memory bliss of you.
I know this much is true. Set Adrift on Memory Bliss.
PM Dawn.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me, but you brought that up. That
Like Kamar, if you
keyboard was there the whole time, and
think about like Papa was a Rolling Stone, it feels like, you know how there's like 8 minutes until there's lyrics in that song? It's just like a jam session. It feels like they're all just letting the cocaine wear off a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
okay, here we go.
don't want
boys.
to be too tight. The paths of obsession and addiction cross.
I believe that, yeah.
And that's sort of like some sort of energy that you could harness for good or bad.
Well, it's funny because like if you are a meth addict, that is obviously frowned upon. But if you're like a titan of industry who never sees your family because you work 110 hours a week, that's like, you know what I mean? People are like, oh, that's great. Good for you.
Find the balance.
Simon isn't listening. You're not listening. He's like a magic 8-ball where he has 8 little things ready to go. Like, yeah, find the balance. Yeah. He's like, that worked. Yeah. He didn't say anything.
What's your new one? Shrapnel over the target.
It's funny too, because
You
Joe
get
always,
the most flack over the target.
Thank you.
Joe always talks about how much rap he listens to, yet only really mentions Wu-Tang and Gangstar.
Well,
And like,
they hit it off on
and,
Schoolie G, Ghetto Boys.
Ghetto Boys.
sorry, Big Daddy Kane. He's obviously
Ghetto
very
Boys.
and the Ghetto Boys. But it's funny because like he mentioned Jadakiss, and Joe seemed like he had no idea what he was talking about.
But
And
Nas-
Jadakiss is easily one of the best ever.
Nas is up there too.
Nas is definitely one of the top 5 rappers of all time.
And the Roots are a good band, I must say. Even though the reverse racism thing you talked about is very interesting. And if it is Black Thought for sure, so be it.
Listen, I've seen Dead Prez live. They had a whole crowd of white people chanting "White Devil," and they were the whole time like
Making you feel very comfortable.
I was like, they don't like us.
Think about poor Eminem, what he had to go through.
Yeah,
But this
Mom
guy-
spaghetti.
This guy's talent, I don't even think it's like it falls into
'cause like he's like
Malcolm
Beethoven.
Gladwell's talent. It's not like he did 1,000 hours. He just started,
No, that's why I said he's like Beethoven. He just sat in front of the
and he
keys.
quit the Roots, and his girlfriend dumps him.
Says he's going to be the Pete Best of rap, which is a...
And he's at an open mic, and a woman that he was cordial with, never tried to hit on her or anything, says, "Hey, come meet. Just got out with Dre. Come meet him." And then next thing you know, he's Scott Storch, writes all the hits, blows it all, and now he's back. Like despite his shortcomings, his talents.
There's a movie
undeniable.
called Backbeat, I think. It's with Stephen Dorff.
Yeah,
Stephen Dorff.
I remember it. Yeah,
It's about Pete Best and the Beatles. It's good. Just a side note.
Paris
always funny,
Hilton,
though.
Kim Kardashian
you know you can't.
Those are people he slept with?
yeah.
dated.
What's funny is you can't really do that thing. It's funny that he's like dated and slept with those girls too, because he looks like a turtle. Like he's just not that an attractive of a guy. What I was going to say though was
It's the talent.
the Pete Best thing. Like you can't. The Beatles might not have been the Beatles if Pete Best stays in the band.
Yeah, maybe not.
You know what I mean? Like
Maybe
you
it
can't
just-
really do like it's the butterfly effect. You never know.
I mean, Matt, it is the drummer. Like, what do you call a guy who always hangs out with the band?
Yeah,
the drummer.
I get it.
So chances are they could have just slipped whoever. And oh no, he was the bassist. Sorry, he wasn't even the drummer.
Dude, when I worked in Vancouver, there was this woman who looked like Stephen Avery's lawyer that used to come into the bar
Okay.
I worked at. She was there all the time. She was so fucking annoying. Anyway, her boyfriend was the drummer in this band. He looked like the band might have been big in the 80s, and now they just did little gigs. Like he dressed like an 80s band.
Okay.
Dude, this guy used to do so much blow off the bar. And I mean like 4 p.m. No one.
Who was he?
No one.
Somebody? Oh.
I mean, he might have been
I
someone.
thought you were going to tell me the band he was in.
Oh, no. Even if I did, you never would have fucking known. Never.
I think his eyes are very close together.
He looks like a turtle. Oh,
But
nice, Simon.
this was the magazine cover he's talked about.
Jesus, they fucked him up, man.
That's what he's talking about. They
Yeah.
threw shade on him.
They fucked him up in that.
They did him
cover.
dirty, but he thrives despite it all.
I mean, it's kind of a cool cover, but
Somehow they got into geopolitical stuff, and I just want to ask: did you guys see the missiles that Russia launched?
No.
no.
They're like, there's something that like a spaceship goes up, or it's up there already, and just launches this tube, and then out of that, 5 of these warheads come out, and they go so much faster, and like
That's crazy.
there's a light, then there's a
A detonation.
well, these ones they didn't have any explosive in it. They were just impact to show that
They were just showing how quickly we can
we
destroy
can use
your
it.
country.
There's nothing that exists that could stop this.
Dude, that's nuts. That's a crazy way to do war.
Isn't it a crazy place we're in right now?
It is between that and drones, like what's left?
Did you see that? You didn't see the Chinese robot they released the other day?
No.
Holy fuck. Put Boston Dynamics to shame. This thing was running down it's in a forest, like flying down a hill. And you're like, oh, this thing's going to be hunting me in like 5 years.
But they probably stole it
Between
from
that
Boston
and the
Dynamics.
the killer robots Elon is making to take out any people who dissent against his American takeover.
No, but he's just going to convince Joe, like, trust me, they're just there to fight the Chinese
So
robot.
they hire. Oh, okay, that's it. We're
Go
done.
on.
Was this the last episode? Mm-hmm. So they hired Dr. Oz. He hired Dr. Oz, Trump.
I think he's nominated him.
I didn't see it.
Isn't that the same thing?
Well, they have to be passed.
Oh,
Listen, he did it. The same thing with Stephanie McMahon. I'm not going to shit on any of his. I already did this last week.
he brought in Stephanie McMahon to
Yeah.
do what?
Education.
Education.
Yeah, I mean, listen, she's a
mom.
She's a titan of industry.
Yeah, she's
so.
listen. I like Steph McMahon. You don't need to sell me. on
Not
her.
Stephanie, the mom.
Oh, the mom. The
Sorry,
mom.
yeah, not Stephanie. My
That's
apologies,
different.
yeah.
he brings Stephanie in, and we got something to talk about. Linda.
My point is, I'm not going to shit on any of these appointees if they haven't done a day of work yet. There's
Linda-
no point.
Linda-
wait
Linda
and see.
McMahon.
Linda McMahon, yeah.
He says
Listen,
he receives his songs from satellites.
Yeah, the Muse. They really went deep in the Muse. I really wish that was the one thing that Joe hadn't gone into health, hadn't gone into geopolitics, had just stuck with kind of the music. He could have even dude, this guy was so rich and spent so much money. Like, get into some of that fucking.
And it was
Or what about some stories about fucking Dre or whatever?
Oh,
You
no,
know what I mean? Making
I-
those albums.
I
That
think-
would have all been fucking
I think,
cool.
I think we got a lot of that.
No, we got zero of it.
No, you know
it
what?
made me feel away when Scott Storch was like 3 hours already, and I was like, no, you're at 2 hours right now, guys. And Joe's like, 2.5. It felt like he wanted it there.
Listen, you have someone.
Strange juju.
I'm going to back up what Simon's saying here. You have someone in the studio that has taken the time to set up their keyboard. They were a part of arguably one of the top 10 greatest hip hop albums of all time. They were in the studio. You could argue that period of hip hop was so big. The 2001 Eminem, 50 Cent, Dr. Dre,
Who's the guy who helps
You should hook up with Hall.
all the groups? He was on Rogan. He's like a guru guy.
Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin.
Very
Isn't
much
this
reminds
like
me
the
of.
equivalent?
Except this guy can play.
No, this guy makes
No,
music.
but I'm saying about having access to all these amazing rap groups and singers and everybody.
and asking no
and
questions.
asking no questions of any substance. Like, we don't care about how much you know about fucking Gangstar Joe.
It would be like
those stories don't interest us anymore.
It would be like if he brought Corsetti and the the other dude in and then was just like, let's talk about hunting for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or politics.
Sure,
which
you'd be
they kinda
livid. You'd be
did.
like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
Is that it, Kamar? We're done?
Yeah, I was just going a bunch of track listings, but we can do that in the post, Joe.
No, now that you talk about
Oh, no,
the-
give Simon his 10 biggest hits.
Now that you talk about the keyboard and the fact that he set that all up and wasn't allowed to use it is a travesty.
Thank you. That's exactly
A
the word I would
travesty,
use. It
yeah.
is a travesty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
What are
is.
we doing here? Like,
Well, he was obviously pissed.
it's crazy too because you know a lot of the time like when I who listen to hip hop think about how a beat's made, I would never before him have thought like someone at a piano. Like you'd always think it's like a sample that gets chopped and then cut down or someone.
Yeah.
And to see him like play Still Dre
that's
just that
cool.
quickly or like any number of songs. Go ahead.
Still Dre.
Sorry, just one more thing. Have you ever seen how they made that famous Gorillaz song?
Yeah, that was already
It's a
pre-programmed
nose
in
on
the
a
thing.
toy.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
insane, dude.
I saw
and
it,
it's not
yeah.
only that; it's like a bunch of noises on the same kids' toy. Anyways, sorry, Kamar. I'm sorry.
Okay, give
Give
us
us
his
the
top
hits.
10 tracks. Still Dre.
Still Dre X. From
Oh, so we did
Exhibit.
do Still Dre.
You
forgot
said
about
forgot
Dre.
about
Baby Boy, Beyonce, Sean Paul. That's a huge song.
Yeah.
Candy Shop.
That's yeah.
Lean Back. That's a huge song.
I said, don't dance. We just pull up our pants and do the rock-aware and lean back and lean back. What else?
What's that one? Justin Timberlake.
I don't know. You have them
You
all.
have it in front
Cry
of
Me
you.
River.
Oh, he did Cry Me a River too.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
With Timbaland. The flute song, Rust. He talked about Rust. That's a big one. Don't tell. No, that's DJ Mustard. I'm sorry, I got DJ Mustard on the brain. Do you guys know who DJ Mustard is?
Yeah. Mustard on
City
a
bitch,
beat.
Rack City bitch. Yeah, the songs just go on and on. As I said,
I'm not going to get the list apparently.
No, you're not.
I don't have it.
For some reason, he pulled up DJ Mustard.
He did
as
a
well.
bunch of songs with 6ix9ine. I find that interesting too. Yeah, there's so many people he worked with that he could talk about. I guess he talked about as much as he want. Joe just wasn't interested. Don't tell him. No, I'm trying to push that as him.
So that's it. We're done. I give it a 4.
Let Me Love You, Naughty Girl, Candy Shop, Still Dre, Cry Me a River, Just a Little Bit, Let Me Blow Your Mind, Lighters Up, Let's Ride, Under Pressure, Baby Boy, Run It, Big Boy. Oh, that's Big Boy Shutterbug, I see.
Either
I give
way.
it a 4-2.
Simon.
I'll give it a 3.5.
I mean, in protest, this 100% should have been a 5. This is like T-ball, in my opinion. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you have
was
the
all set up
You
for
have the
him.
opportunity where you could just let this guy cook for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. You can just ask 5 questions.
Now,
and just
normally
let
we're
him-
against playing instruments on the podcast.
Yes, usually, but not this time.
I mean, normally, but like, not if it's like, oh, by the way, I made 50 hits in the early 2000s, and I'm going to quickly just run through them. Whatever. That's fine. That's an episode. If you made it this far, incredible. Maybe you're willing to keep the lights on here. You can support the show for as little as $5 a month. Just head over to patreon.com/JREE podcast. For that $5, you get the post show. It's the show of the show. We shoot the shit. You'll also get old episodes of This One Age Well, Moon Debate, this, that, other stuff. All sorts of stuff. Hopefully some
the
new
Moon
stuff moving forward.
Agreement.
You'll also get my absolute dog shit NFL picks lately. Those are up there.
Wah.
No, last week, Simon, I
That's
posted.
my dog shit
Yeah, I
noise.
know. I posted 8 picks,
Losers?
4 props, and then 4 like games. 1 out of 8.
Wow.
The week before, I did really well.
Bet the unders on what Matt said.
Yeah, just
apparently.
fade me. That's
Yeah.
actually the new.
Fade Matt.
Fade Matt. That's what I'm going to start
Another
calling
great
it.
name for a band.
Yeah, Fade Matt. Yeah. All right, that's an episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to BetterHelp. Thank you to the patrons. We hope you all have a great week. We hope you enjoy your weekend, and as usual,
Keep your eyes open.